Chapter 2081. Chao Kai was born in the divine Fate Land and had seen the Elysian Child before. The Elysian Child's combat strength was indeed astonishing. A Elysian Child who had reached the Boundary Emperor realm could fight against a one-star Void Emperor and even suppress him. The stronger Elysian Child could even defeat a one-star Void Emperor after reaching the Boundary Emperor realm. However, it would be difficult to kill one. He had never heard of someone like Lu Ming who could kill a one-star Void Emperor in a few moves. The Battle of 10 Earths this time will probably be extremely intense. I wonder what kind of freaks will appear. Chao Kai could not help but think, "Brother Chao, are you hiding something from me?" Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he stared at Chao Kai. He felt that something was wrong. Those sea beasts seemed to have locked onto them and were constantly chasing after them. "Brother Lu, why do you say that?" Chao Kai's expression changed slightly. "These sea beasts are obviously coming for us. I don't have anything to be targeted by these sea beasts. Then it can only be you. Moreover, I'm really curious. Why did you, a prodigy from the divine Fate Land, come to the Yuan Mountain? Now, people from all places are gathering towards the divine Fate Land," Lu Ming said. Chao Kai smiled bitterly and said, "I knew it. I can't hide it from Brother Lu. To be honest, a few months ago I set off from the divine Fate Land and entered the Ring Sea to steal a kind of treasure in the Ring Sea. This treasure is very useful for refining puppets. However, I was chased by the sea beasts at that time and the people accompanying me were all killed. I was lucky and escaped to the Yuan Mountain. This time I was preparing to return, but I didn't expect to be targeted by the sea beasts." Lu Ming's expression changed slightly and said, "It seems that the sea beasts attacking the ship this time is also because of you." Lu Ming suddenly realized. He finally understood why so many sea beasts attacked the ship inexplicably. It was all because Chao Kai had stolen a kind of peerless treasure from the sea. "I didn't expect it to be like this. I have already laid down layers of seals on that treasure. I originally thought that the sea beasts couldn't sense it. Now, it seems that the sea beasts still have some sense. Otherwise, they wouldn't have attacked the ship. There won't be sea beasts chasing after me." Chao Kai smiled bitterly. "Looks like the sea beasts only sensed a little. Otherwise, it would be a true emperor chasing you instead of a bunch of shrimps," Lu Ming said. "Brother Lu, do you have a solution?" Chao said. "Yes, you can give the treasure to me for safekeeping. I can completely isolate the aura of the treasure." Lu Ming smiled and looked at Chao Kai. "All right." To Lu Ming's surprise, Chao Kai nodded, took out a storage ring, and handed it to Lu Ming. One had to know that something that could attract so many powerful sea beasts was definitely a peerless treasure. Chao Kai actually gave it to Lu Ming directly, which was indeed beyond Lu Ming's expectations. "Brother Lu, the treasure is in my storage ring. I've stacked a few storage rings and placed them in my paradise treasure. I didn't expect that I still couldn't completely isolate it." Chao Kai sighed. With his status, he naturally didn't lack paradise treasures. "Brother Chao, don't worry. I'll return it to you." Lu Ming waved his hands and put away the storage ring that Chao Kai had given him into the mountain river map. Lu Ming naturally didn't rely on the mountain and river diagram to isolate the treasure's aura. Chao Kai also had paradise treasures, but even he couldn't isolate it, so the mountain and river diagram was naturally useless. Lu Ming relied on the divine breath technique. The mountain and river diagram was in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. Lu Ming used the divine breath technique to completely restrain and isolate the aura in his body. At the same time, he also isolated the aura in his sea of consciousness. After that, the two continued forward. As expected, they didn't attract any more sea beasts. The two continued forward and flew out of the sea after a day. "Brother Lu, we won't be able to reach the divine Fate Land if we continue like this. The sea is always changing and it's easy to get lost. There are also many dangerous places. We need to stop a warship to reach the divine Fate Land." Chao Kai said, All right. Lu Ming nodded. Chao Kai was a sky pride of the divine fate land, and he knew more about the sea. After that, Chao Kai took out a puppet and floated it in the air. The two sat on the puppet and waited quietly. Now they could only try their luck and see if there were any warships passing by. Fortunately, there were many warships passing by during this period. They might be able to find one. Lu Ming sat on the puppet and studied the art of puppetry. The art of puppetry recorded in the jade talisman that Chao Kai gave him was extremely mysterious. However, Lu Ming already had the foundation of the art of puppetry. More importantly, Lu Ming had mastered the law of array Dao. Although the law of array Dao wasn't as compatible with the art of puppetry as the law of blacksmiths. The refining of puppets couldn't be done without inscriptions and runes. Therefore, by mastering the law of array Dao, it would be easier to comprehend the art of puppetry. Just like that, they waited here for half a month. Rumble. In front of them, a huge monster drove over. It was the warship. Moreover, the direction it was traveling was from the primordial mountain land to the divine fate land. The two of them released their auras and made a commotion, attracting the attention of the people on the warship. As the warship approached, an expert stared at them and said, "What's going on with you? Why are you in the sea ring?" "Sir, our warship was attacked by sea beasts more than half a month ago and was destroyed. We escaped." Chao Kai replied, "So, you are the survivors of that warship. Come on up." The expert's expression changed. Then he let the two of them on the ship. The last time the warship was besieged by sea beasts, many people survived. This matter had already spread. The warships passing by naturally heard about it. Since they had encountered survivors, they naturally didn't mind giving them a ride. Of course, they had to pay for the origin stones. Lu Ming and Chao Kai boarded the warship. The warship restarted and headed towards the divine fate land. This time there was no danger. 7 days later, they finally crossed the sea ring and arrived at the divine fate land. What dense origin chi? The divine fate land's origin chi is denser than the primordial mountain land. After getting off the warship and arriving at the coast, Lu Ming took a deep breath. "Brother Lu, the divine golem sect is a faction near the coast. We can go there from the nearby teleportation formation," Chao Kai said. "Okay." Lu Ming nodded. It was his first time in the Blessed Land, and he was unfamiliar with the place. He needed to find a place to stay and familiarize himself with the place. Moreover, there were still more than 4 months before the Battle of the 10 Earths. It was still early, so he wasn't in a hurry to go to Destiny City. "Brother Chao, here's your storage ring." Lu Ming returned Chao Kai's storage ring to him. "Thank you, Brother Lu." Chao Kai took it and expressed his gratitude. When he gave the storage ring to Lu Ming, he was prepared that Lu Ming wouldn't return it. If Lu Ming didn't return it, there was nothing he could do. He was touched that Lu Ming returned the storage ring to him. He also admired Lu Ming. Chapter 2082. The Divine Golem Sect was located in the coastal area of the Divine Fate Land. It was a sect formed by many experts who were proficient in the art of puppetry. They focused on discussing and improving together. Therefore, the Divine Golem Sect was relatively free. Lu Ming brought Autumn Moon and Chao Kai to the Divine Golem Sect, but no one bothered them. What amazing puppets! Walking in the Divine Golem Sect, Autumn Moon exclaimed. There were all kinds of puppets in the Divine Golem Sect. Some were in the shape of beasts, some were in the shape of humans, and some were almost identical to humans. These puppets were helping the Divine Golem Sect deal with all kinds of matters, such as mining, refining, and even planting spiritual herbs and sacred medicines. There were many things that were not handled by humans and were directly handed to the puppets. I heard that when the art of puppetry is cultivated to the highest level, the puppets will gain sentience and be no different from living beings. That's amazing. Chao Kai exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart moved. He thought of Earth 1, Gold 1, and the others from the Chaos Hall. Weren't they puppets? But they were no different from living beings. Next, Lu Ming and Autumn Moon temporarily stayed in the Divine Golem sect. There were some places in the Divine Golem sect that could help one comprehend the art of puppetry. Lu Ming walked around the Divine Golem sect to comprehend the art of puppetry. Of course, he would not put all his effort into the art of puppetry. His own cultivation was the way to go. He only needed to be slightly proficient in the art of puppetry. Half a month later, Lu Ming's art of puppetry had improved greatly. He could now control several powerful puppets with his sole power. This should be enough. On this day, Chao Kai found Lu Ming and Autumn Moon and told Lu Ming that in a few days, 2 powerful sons of heaven would be fighting on the ancient emperor platform. These 2 Elysian children were both children of death. 2 sons of death? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Now, the geniuses from all over the world have entered the Divine Fate Land, together with the geniuses of the Divine Fate Land itself. The geniuses here are as numerous as the clouds. It's a scene that has never been seen before. The Battle of the 10 Earths hasn't started yet. Geniuses from all over the Divine Fate Land will clash from time to time. Battles between geniuses happen all the time, especially between Elysian children who control the same type of law. They all want to surpass each other and become the only one. The battles are even more intense. Chao Kai explained. Lu Ming nodded. This was unavoidable. Moreover, before the Battle of 10 Lands, it was better to get a feel of the opponent's strength. The duel between the 2 Elysian children has attracted a lot of geniuses. Do you want to go and watch? Chao said, Go. Lu Ming nodded. Now that he had comprehended the law of death, he might be able to gain some insights from watching the battles between the other sons of death. Also, he was very curious who were the 2 sons of death. He had seen 2 sons of death before. One was Deathblade, and the other was Gelong from the land of myriad devils. Was it the 2 of them? Perhaps there were others who had mastered the law of death? Immediately they set off. The ancient emperor platform was a 2-day journey from here. The duel would take place 3 days later. They didn't want to delay, or they might not be able to make it. 2 days later, they arrived at a small city near the ancient emperor platform. They rested there for a night. The next day was the day of the duel between the 2 sons of death. They headed towards the ancient emperor platform. When they arrived, there was already a sea of people. At a glance, many of them were young geniuses. There were also some older geniuses. Everyone was standing around a platform. This platform looked very old and was full of mottled traces of time. This was the ancient emperor platform. Legend had it that an ancient celestial emperor comprehended the Tao here. This platform was sturdy and indestructible. It had become a place for many experts to duel. Around the platform, there were 9 stone pillars that pierced through the sky. It gave off a lofty feeling. Lu Ming's gaze swept through the crowd and found a few familiar faces. For example, Wei Tiandao and the others were geniuses of the Primordial Mountain. They had cultivated together in the Primordial Mountain's sacred court. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure flashed and rushed to one of the 9 stone pillars. He stood on the stone pillar and looked down at the crowd. Who is this person? How dare he stand on the emperor gazing pillar? Is he so confident? Could it be an Elysian child? If it isn't, then I'll definitely be beaten into a pig's head. Some people exclaimed, while others sneered at his misfortune. Chao Kai explained. Lu Ming understood the meaning of the emperor gazing pillar. The emperor gazing pillar was not an ordinary martial emperor, but a celestial emperor. Stepping on the emperor gazing pillar represented talent, potential, and a symbol of status. Only the strongest geniuses could stand on the emperor gazing pillar. If an ordinary person stepped on it, they would definitely be beaten down. Whoosh! Not long after, another figure stepped on the emperor gazing pillar. It was a handsome young man in a purple gold robe. His face was cold and arrogant. That's Zi Liusu. He only has the king body. Although I heard that he has cultivated the law of light and has powerful combat strength, I'm afraid it's still not enough to stand on the emperor-gazing pillar. That's right. Watch carefully. Someone will definitely make a move. Seeing the young man in the purple gold robe fly up the emperor-gazing pillar, there was a burst of discussion. Just as the crowd was discussing, a young man in a black robe stepped on the air. He walked step by step toward Zeliosu, his powerful aura crushing toward Zeliosu. A mere king body dares to step on the emperor-gazing pillar? Get lost. The young man in the black robe said indifferently, his aura growing stronger. Let's see if you have what it takes to make me go down. Zeliosu said coldly. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. A ray of light spread out and covered his entire body. Not only that, a long purple river danced around his body, making him look like a deity. The law of light forms a river. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. He was indeed worthy of being called a place where geniuses gathered. There were too many geniuses in the divine fate land. This purple tassel was absolutely powerful. She had a peerless king body and had already reached the quasi-emperor realm. Moreover, she had cultivated the light of law. In the past, when it was rare for an Elysian child to appear, she would definitely be a heaven's pride that could suppress the world. As long as the Son of Heaven did not appear, no one would be able to compete with him. Even in the current golden age, he would be a top-notch genius. However, the young man in the black robe remained calm. There was even a hint of disdain as he said, "Since you don't want to get lost, I'll make you." Buzz, buzz. The space seemed to vibrate. Suddenly, 6 pitch-black vortexes appeared behind the young man in the black robe. The vortexes spun continuously as if they were going to suck in one's mind. 6 paths of reincarnation. It's the law of reincarnation. He's a son of reincarnation. I know who he is. He's Yu-He, a peerless genius in the divine fate land. Many people exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This person was also a son of reincarnation, just like Ouyang Moli. If this person encountered Ouyang Moli, there would be a battle. Chapter 2083. Are you going to scram yourself, or do you want me to make you scram? Yu-He looked at Purple Tassel indifferently, his disdain growing. Purple Tassel's expression was ugly as he gritted his teeth and said, "So what if you're the son of reincarnation? Today, I want to see how powerful the reincarnation laws are. You're overestimating yourself." He said coldly as he stepped forward. Boom! The 6 vortexes behind you. He moved with him and charged at Purple Tassel. The 6 vortexes spun rapidly, erupting with terrifying power as they tried to suck Purple Tassel in and pull him into the reincarnation laws. Purple Tassel's expression was grave as he unleashed all of his strength. Purple light burst out from his body, forming a purple sword light that slashed at Yu-He. Purple Tassel had used all of his strength in this move. It was powerful and terrifying to ordinary people. However, he was facing a son of reincarnation. Boom! Under the pressure of the 6 vortexes, Purple Tassel's sword light collapsed, turning into purple light spots that dissipated. Purple Tassel's body shook violently as he flew out like a cannonball, vomiting blood in the air. The crowd was shocked. One move, just one move, and Purple Tassel was defeated. He vomited blood and could not withstand a single blow. Is the difference between a monarch body and an Elysian sun that big? Someone said unwillingly. He was also a monarch body. His cultivation should have broken through to the boundary emperor realm. Otherwise, he would not have defeated Purple Tassel in one move. However, the difference between an Elysian sun and a monarch body is indeed that big. In a battle of the same level, a monarch body is no match for an Elysian sun, unless an Elysian sun has not cultivated the law of light. In that case, a monarch body can compete with an Elysian sun, but the chances of defeat are still high. Some of the Sky Pride sighed. There's no need to sigh. An Elysian son does have an absolute advantage under the martial emperor realm. He is almost invincible in a battle of the same level, but that's only for those below the martial emperor realm. When one reaches the martial emperor realm, they can comprehend many kinds of laws. Some monarch bodies are not monarch bodies and are late bloomers. Their performance before reaching the martial emperor realm is mediocre, but after breaking through to the martial emperor realm, they will rise and comprehend the strongest laws. They can compete or even defeat an Elysian son. A young man said, full of confidence in himself. Hearing this, many people's eyes lit up. That's right, that was indeed the case. Right now, the so-called king body and Elysian son only held a temporary advantage. However, after one reached martial emperor, this advantage would weaken. That was because martial emperors could comprehend many kinds of laws. Some people below martial emperors could only comprehend ordinary laws. However, after breaking through to martial emperors, they could comprehend the strongest laws in one go. After that, they would continue to break through and become unrivaled experts. There were many such examples in history. After defeating Zeliosu, he landed on the emperor gazing pillar and stood with his hands behind his back. He was filled with a domineering aura. Purple Tassel glared at Yuhi, but in the end, she did not step onto the other emperor gazing pillars. If one's strength was insufficient, even if they managed to step on it, they would be blasted back down. Originally, there were a few other king bodies that were also restless, but now they restrained themselves. At that moment, someone looked at the young man who was the first to step onto the emperor gazing pillar. This person wore a white robe. Even after seeing you, he defeat Zeliosu. His expression was still calm. Everyone immediately knew that this person was also an Elysian child. The two sons of death hadn't arrived yet, but two sons of heaven had already appeared. This made everyone look forward to it. Since the Elysian children were gathering, would they fight each other first? Haha, it's really lively. With a loud laugh, a young man in a red robe stepped on the air and landed on an emperor gazing pillar. Someone recognized that this was also an Elysian child from the divine Fate Land. The divine Fate Land was the most powerful land in the primordial realm's 10 lands. Its area was vast and boundless. Excluding the barren land, the area of the other 8 lands added together was only as large as the divine Fate Land. There were naturally many geniuses there. It was said that the divine Fate Land had each of the 10 strongest laws, and some even had more than one. It was really shocking to see the top 10 gathered in one place. Amitabha. A Buddhist chant sounded, and a young monk stepped on the air. His snow-white kasaya fluttered in the wind, and he looked otherworldly. This monk also landed on one of the emperor gazing pillars. It's Saint Monk Wuchen from Boundless Temple. Someone exclaimed, seemingly very shocked. Saint Monk Wuchen is also here. I heard that Saint Monk Wuchen has mastered one of the 10 strongest laws, the law of karma. Everything is within karma. Someone said solemnly, the law of karma. Lu Ming's eyes also narrowed. The law of karma was also one of the 10 strongest laws. There was no doubt that it was a very terrifying and mysterious law. Everything in the world had karma, and karma formed the world. Mastering the law of karma and being able to control karma was absolutely terrifying. Now, for Elysian children had arrived. Many people were looking forward to seeing if these Elysian children would have a great battle first. At this moment, 2 rainbow lights flew over at an extremely fast speed from afar. These 2 rainbow lights were also 2 young men. They did not slow down and directly landed on the emperor gazing pillars. It's him. Lu Ming even recognized one of them. He was the top genius of the undying demon kingdom in the land of all demons, the son of the void. Someone recognized the other person. He was a peerless genius from the divine Fate Land. 6 Elysian children. Someone exclaimed. This time, it's a golden age that's rarely seen since ancient times. Many Elysian children are born everywhere. My land of all demons has 40,000 Elysian children. Everyone discussed. After that, a genius from the land of all demons said proudly, it was already very shocking that there were 4 Elysian children in one place. How many Elysian children are there in your land of Yuan Mountain? Someone looked at the genius of Yuan Mountain and asked. 6. One of the geniuses from Yuan Mountain answered. 6. You must be bragging. How can your land of Yuan Mountain have 6 Elysian children? The genius of the land of all demons immediately suspected. Among the 10 lands of the primordial realm, excluding the barren land, the primordial mountain land was considered weak. Now, a prodigy from the primordial mountain land actually said that there were 6 Elysian children in the primordial mountain land, which immediately attracted suspicion. Many people cast contemptuous gazes at Yuan Mountain. Being looked down upon, the genius of Yuan Mountain was a little unhappy. Among them, Wei Tiandao said, My land of Yuan Mountain does indeed have 6 Elysian children. They are the son of chaos, son of eternity, son of death, son of space-time, son of life, and son of reincarnation. What? There are sons of chaos in Yuan Mountain? The more you say, the more ridiculous it is. It's possible to say that there are other Elysian children, but to say that there are sons of chaos is most likely bragging. Some people despised him. Although the 10 strongest laws were equally famous, in fact, there were 2 laws that were the rarest and had the lowest probability of appearing in history. Chapter 2084. The Law of Primal Chaos and the Law of Destiny. These 2 laws were faintly stronger and more mysterious than the other strongest laws. The law of destiny, as its name implied, could control destiny. Everything in the world had destiny. This kind of law was terrifying to the extreme. The law of primal chaos existed before the world was created. Everything in the world was born from primal chaos. The law of primal chaos was known as the Emperor of Laws, and it wasn't just for show. Therefore, many people found it hard to believe that there was a son of primal chaos in the land of Yuan Mountain. What we said is the truth. Wei Tiandao and the others said. Although Wei Tiandao had a grudge with Lu Ming, he had to bring up Lu Ming at this time. Otherwise, he would be looked down upon. The others were bewildered. Could it be that a son of primal chaos was really born in the land of Yuan Mountain? If so, the Battle of the 10 Earths this time would probably be even more intense, because there was also a son of primal chaos in the divine fate land. He was unimaginably powerful and was almost invincible in the divine fate land. There were so many prodigies in the divine fate land, but only a few of them were a match for the son of primal chaos. Even some of the other sons of primal chaos were defeated by him. If there was really a son of primal chaos in the land of Yuan Mountain, who would be stronger and who would be weaker? Everyone was discussing. Lu Ming smiled and didn't care too much. Brother Lu, why don't you go up and occupy one of the emperor-gazing pillars? Chao Kai looked at Lu Ming. Chao Kai was very clear about Lu Ming's combat strength. It was terrifying and shocking. He was definitely an extremely terrifying son of primal chaos. Lu Ming's eyes also revealed a look of interest. Didn't he come to the divine fate land to fight with these top prodigies to improve himself? In the land of Yuan Mountain, there was almost no opponent for him. Since the battle of the Lotus World, Xing he hadn't appeared. Now that so many sons of primal chaos had appeared, Lu Ming also revealed a trace of fighting spirit. Autumn Moon, wait for me here. Lu Ming said to Autumn Moon, Young master, go do your best. Autumn Moon waved her little fists. Lu Ming smiled and soared into the sky. Then he flew toward one of the emperor pillars and landed on one of them. Many people couldn't help but look at Lu Ming. It's him. When the prodigies of Yuan Mountain saw Lu Ming, their eyes flashed with shock. In the land of Yuan Mountain, Lu Ming's reputation had already reached its peak. Not only had he defeated Hung Xinghe, but he had also controlled the Heavenly Emperor's body to kill a few martial emperors. In the end, he had even defeated the great emperor of the He clan. Such an achievement was like a magnitude 12 earthquake. He is the son of primal chaos of my primal mountain. A prodigy from Yuan Mountain spoke. What? Many people were shocked and looked at Lu Ming. So this is the son of chaos of Primal Mountain? Was he really the son of chaos? Even the Elysian children on the Emperor gazing pillars were looking at Lu Ming, their eyes gleaming with the desire to do battle. Son of chaos? I'd like to see how strong you are. Sure enough, someone moved. It was a burly young man in a gray robe. Previously, someone had recognized that this person came from the Sky Savage Land, one of the 10 lands of Yuan continent. He was a son of primal chaos and controlled the primal chaos laws. The primal chaos laws and the primal chaos laws were the most similar among the 10 strongest laws. The primal chaos had not been created and the primal chaos had not been determined. However, the world had always ranked the primal chaos laws before the primal chaos laws. Now that the son of primal chaos saw Lu Ming, his desire to do battle was obvious. Boom! This person was called Huang Meng. At this moment, he unleashed a powerful aura and stepped into the air towards Lu Ming. Complete Paragon Saint. Lu Ming could see at a glance that Huang Meng's cultivation was at the complete Paragon Saint realm. However, he had already reached the peak and was only a step away from becoming a quasi-emperor. Boom! Huang Meng made his move. He was very direct. He was like a primordial beast, his body filled with the primal chaos laws. The primal chaos laws were as heavy as a mountain like the primal chaos laws. Huang Meng threw out a punch, and a terrifying fist force blasted towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the chaotic divine palm, and his palm was like a primal chaos stone, slapping towards Huang Meng. Dong! The sky shook like a drum, and a shocking explosion erupted. Then a figure retreated, and the void trembled as he stepped on it. It was Huang Meng. The person who retreated was Huang Meng. As for Lu Ming, he stood motionless on the emperor-gazing pillar. It's the primal chaos laws. It's really the primal chaos laws, someone exclaimed. Before the battle, some people still didn't believe it. Now that the battle had started, they finally saw that Lu Ming was really using the primal chaos laws. A son of primal chaos had really appeared in the Yuan Mountain. Again, Huang Meng shouted, and a layer of law light spread out from his body. He once again charged towards Lu Ming. He kept throwing out punches, and each punch was as heavy as a mountain. Each punch could destroy a mountain. Lu Ming still used the chaotic divine palm to meet the attack. Boom! Boom! In the sky, there were continuous explosions. The force of the collision between the two turned into a gust of wind that swept in all directions, causing some people who were close to them to retreat. After more than 10 consecutive explosions, Huang Meng's body was pushed back. His body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. There was intense shock in his eyes. Because Lu Ming's primal chaos laws hadn't formed a river, it meant that Lu Ming wasn't a quasi-emperor, but a perfected absolute saint. In a battle of the same level, he was actually crushed, which made him a little discouraged. "Thank you for letting me win," Lu Ming said. Just now, he didn't use any other laws, and only used the primal chaos laws. Although his primal chaos laws were only at 99% completion, which was comparable to his opponent's primal chaos laws. However, Lu Ming's physical body was stronger than that of an ordinary Elysian. Moreover, Lu Ming's array Tao nomological laws had already formed a river. After tempering his physical body once, his physical body was even stronger. In addition, Lu Ming's sacred power was stronger than ordinary people. So even if Lu Ming only used the primal chaos laws, no one would be a match for him in a battle of the same level. Naturally, he could crush Huang Meng. Many people were shocked. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong. He was at the same level as Huang Meng, but he could crush Huang Meng. They were both Elysian children. How could this be? Was the primal chaos laws really that powerful? But there were also Elysian children in the divine Fate land. Although their combat strength was strong, they couldn't crush Elysian children of the same level. Many people looked at Lu Ming solemnly. "You're very strong. I'm no match for you." Huang Meng shook his head and returned to the emperor, gazing pillar. "Let me try." After Huang Meng retreated, another person stepped forward. A powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. It was Yu He, the reincarnation child. Many people were excited. Yu He was going to fight. Yu He had already stepped into the quasi-emperor realm. A quasi-emperor Elysian child's combat strength was absolutely amazing. He was going to fight Lu Ming. Would Lu Ming be a match for him? Let's fight in the air. Chapter 2085. Yu He took a step forward and soared into the sky as well. Lu Ming and Yu He stood facing each other in the sky. Before they made a move, their powerful auras clashed continuously. Yu He was dressed in a black robe and his body was covered in the light of the law of reincarnation. Behind him, there were 6 vortexes that kept spinning. He wanted to make everything in the world enter the cycle of reincarnation. Bang! Yu He took a step forward and charged toward Lu Ming. A long sword appeared in his hand and he slashed it out. The long sword rapidly enlarged and turned into a giant sword. The most shocking thing was that there were 6 reincarnation vortexes on the giant sword as it slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body was covered in the light of the law of chaos. He was not afraid at all as he charged toward Yu He's giant sword. At the same time, he used the chaotic divine palm and slapped out. Lu Ming did not use any other laws. He only used the law of chaos. He wanted to see just how strong his battle prowess was without the use of other laws. Clang! Lu Ming's palm hit Yu He's giant sword. It was like 2 divine weapons colliding, creating a terrifying vibration. There was a burst of energy, and Yu He's sword was sent flying by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body also retreated a few steps. This move was a draw. So strong. How can the son of chaos be so strong? Many people were shocked beyond words. Lu Ming was only a perfected absolute saint, but he could fight with Yu He. After all, Yu He had already broken through to the boundary emperor realm. Once a boundary emperor reached the boundary emperor realm, his laws would be perfect and become like a river. Moreover, when he broke through to the boundary emperor realm, both his physical body and saint power would be tempered by the laws and would be greatly improved. A perfected absolute saint seemed to be a step away from a boundary emperor realm, but the difference in strength was huge. Now, both of them were sons of heaven, but Lu Ming was able to fight against Yu He even though his cultivation was lower. It was really shocking. Kill! Yu He roared. His eyes were like 2 vortexes as black as ink. He took a big step forward and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming was fearless. He waved his palm to meet the attack, and the 2 of them engaged in an intense confrontation. The crowd could only see the 2 figures colliding in the air, unceasingly killing each other. That kind of scene was horrifying. Is this the battle prowess of a quasi-emperor? This is comparable to a martial emperor. Once an Elysian child breaks through to quasi-emperor, his battle prowess will be comparable to a martial emperor. I heard that Yu He had just become a quasi-emperor not long ago, but he's still a genuine quasi-emperor. Lu Ming is only in the great circle of the absolute saint realm, but he's able to fight against Yu He. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and Yu He had exchanged dozens of blows. Many people were unable to calm down and were discussing excitedly. Naturally, they did not know that Lu Ming already had one type of law perfected. His physical body and saint power had undergone a tempering process. Although it was only the tempering of the King Path law, it was still a great improvement. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Lu Ming to fight Yu He as a perfected absolute saint with only one law of chaos. But now, Lu Ming could definitely stop him. Yu He was also shocked, but he was already fighting with all his might. He was originally very ambitious. He wanted to stand out in the battle of the 10 Earths, become famous, and obtain a great opportunity. But now, before the battle of the 10 Earths even began, he had encountered an unprecedented setback. With his cultivation as a quasi-emperor, he could not take down a perfected absolute saint. He was the son of reincarnation, known to be invincible among those of the same level. But now he could not take down someone with a lower cultivation than him. This was a great blow to his confidence. Therefore he had to defeat Lu Ming. He roared and unleashed his full strength. The sword whistled endlessly. The 6 whirlpools of the reincarnation whirlpool merged together to form a huge whirlpool. It wanted to pull Lu Ming into the whirlpool and achieve reincarnation. But Lu Ming was like a rock in the sea, unmoving. Whoosh! This time, Lu Ming used the chaotic finger of tribulation. He pointed out, and a huge, chaotic finger of tribulation formed and pointed at the huge reincarnation whirlpool. Rumble! The two collided, and a terrifying explosion erupted. In the end, both sides dissipated. Lu Ming and he both retreated 1,000 meters and stood in the air. He seemed to be in disbelief. He could not take down Lu Ming and could only fight to a draw with Lu Ming. The other sons of heaven on the emperor gazing pillar were also very shocked. Lu Ming's battle strength was too terrifying. Once he broke through to the quasi-emperor realm, who could be his match? It seems that there are many geniuses in the world. In the past, I underestimated the heroes of the world. He said slowly. At this moment, he had regained his composure. You're very strong too. Lu Ming said, let's fight again in the battle of the 10 Earths. After saying that, he stepped out and returned to the emperor gazing pillar. Lu Ming smiled and also returned to the emperor gazing pillar. This Lu Ming is becoming more and more terrifying. Wei Tiandao whispered. The geniuses of Yuan Mountain had the deepest feeling. They knew that Lu Ming still had a secret technique that he had not used. Back when he fought against Hung Xinghe, Lu Ming used that secret technique to defeat Hung Xinghe. If he used that secret technique, even he would not be a match for him. I heard that Hung Xinghe had already broken through to the quasi-emperor realm. But now it seems that even if Hung Xinghe broke through to the quasi-emperor realm, I'm afraid he is not a match for Lu Ming. Some of the geniuses of Yuan Mountain discussed in low voices. Brother Lu didn't use his full strength at all. Chao Kai curled his lips. He had seen Lu Ming's attack. He could easily kill a 1-star Void Emperor. That kind of combat strength was far more than what he had shown just now. However, since Lu Ming did not expose himself, he naturally would not say anything. By now, there were more and more people here. He's here. Suddenly, someone spoke and looked to the east. There a figure was flying over at an astonishing speed. The next moment, the light faded and a young man appeared in the air. It's really him, Deathblade. Lu Ming's eyes moved. This young man was indeed Deathblade. The next moment, a rainbow light flew over from the west, and a young man appeared. It's him. Lu Ming also knew this young man. He was Gulong, the son of death of the eternal devil nation in the land of infinite devils. Obviously, the two people who were fighting were them. Come on stage, let's fight it out. Gulong looked at Deathblade. That's what I want. Deathblade said indifferently. The two moved at the same time and stepped onto the ancient emperor platform. Boom! Boom! The two stood facing each other, and their bodies emitted a terrifying death aura at the same time. The death aura collided as if it was going to turn the ancient emperor platform into a kingdom of death. It was extremely rare for two sons of heaven to fight with the same kind of law. The crowd watched without blinking. Lu Ming watched even more seriously. After all, he had also comprehended the law of death. Suddenly the two moved. They turned into two phantoms and charged at each other, fighting fiercely. The entire ancient emperor platform had turned into a death zone, shrouded by the law of death. Chapter 2086. 2.5 years ago, both Deathblade and Golong were at the peak of the absolute Saint realm. But now, both of them had reached the boundary Emperor realm. After 2 years of accumulation, both of them must have been cultivating in some secret place, so their progress must have been fast. For example, Deathblade, Lu Xiang, and the others had been sent to a secret place to cultivate and had only recently come out of seclusion. Boom! Boom! The two sons of death kept clashing, and the air of death turned into a terrifying killing power that swept out in all directions. In a short time, the two of them had exchanged more than 100 moves, and it was difficult to determine the winner. Abyss of Death. Gulong used his ultimate move and formed an abyss of death that covered the sky and enveloped Deathblade. He wanted to drag Deathblade into the abyss of death and bury him. Deathblade flashed quickly, wanting to dodge, but the abyss of death was too big. It covered the sky and dragged Deathblade into the abyss of death. Is Deathblade going to lose? Many people's hearts jumped. It's not that easy. They're both sons of death and have similar cultivation. It's not that easy to determine the winner. Someone shook his head. Sure enough, the abyss of death shook, and a terrifying saber light broke out of the abyss of death. Heavenly saber of death. A cold voice came from the abyss of death, and a huge saber light slashed out of the abyss of death. Boom! The abyss of death shook and exploded inch by inch. A figure with a terrifying saber light rushed out of the abyss of death. Slash! Deathblade rushed out, and his saber light soared into the sky. Every slash carried a terrifying aura of death. When the saber light slashed out, it was as if even space fell into a deathly silence. Gulong shouted and continued to fight with Deathblade. The usage of every law is different. Even if different people master the same law, the profundities they can unleash will be different. Lu Ming thought as he watched seriously. Watching the battle between Deathblade and Gulong, Lu Ming seemed to understand something. His understanding of the law of death had deepened. Deathblade and Gulong had exchanged hundreds of moves. At this point, both of them had used all their strength and were quite tired. It was a battle of wills and battle experience. I will win, Deathblade shouted, and his hair danced in the wind. His eyes were full of unyielding battle intent. It was as if he would defeat anything placed in front of him. His blade of death became even sharper and more dazzling as it slashed at Gulong. Gulong was gradually at a disadvantage. Deathblade is going to win. Deathblade's willpower is even stronger than Gulong's. We're both sons of death. Today, we're going to determine the victor. Many people were discussing this matter. After another dozen or so moves, Gulong was finally defeated. The blade of death swept across his body, leaving a deep wound that was constantly corroding him. Even though he had also grasped the laws of death, it was difficult for him to erase it in a short period of time. Puff! Gulong spat out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled as if he couldn't believe that he had lost to the Deathblade. The 10 lands battle hadn't even started, and he had already lost to another son of death. This was a huge blow to him. The others sighed as well. After this battle, Deathblade's brilliance was completely revealed, defeating another Elysian child, strengthening his own conviction, as well as his undefeatable conviction. After this battle, the Deathblade would definitely transform and reach a higher level. On the other hand, Gulong's willpower would probably be affected, and he would be even less of a match for the Deathblade in the future. This was also why when Elysian children of death met, there would definitely be a battle, because only by defeating Elysian children of death and stepping on them could one become stronger, forging an undefeatable conviction and stepping onto the peak. This time, in the Golden Age, there might be more than 2 sons of death, but at least the Deathblade had defeated one and could continue to fight for supremacy. As for Gulong, he had already lost the qualifications to become the strongest son of death. Unless he had a fortuitous encounter later on, it would be difficult for him to make a comeback. You've lost. The Death Blade said indifferently, "I will defeat you in the 10 lands battle." Gelong said he couldn't admit defeat like this, otherwise he would never be the Death Blade's opponent in his lifetime. "With today's defeat, you will be even less of a match for me in the future." The Death Blade said with an undefeatable conviction. Then he rose into the air and left this place. After the Death Blade left, Gelong also left this place. The battle ended just like that. "Haha, let me tell you, the Death Blade is also from my Yuan Mountain." A prodigy from Yuan Mountain laughed. This surprised some people. Lu Ming also came from Yuan Mountain. Just now, he defeated a son of reincarnation. Moreover, he defeated a son of reincarnation as the weak, which was shocking. And this time, Death Blade defeated another child of death, who also came from the primordial mountain. Yuan Mountain was amazing. Several terrifying prodigies had appeared one after another. Could it be that there were really 6 Elysian children in Yuan Mountain? Some prodigies looked a little dignified. On the emperor gazing pillar, those Elysian children glanced at Lu Ming one after another, then rose into the air and left this place. "Lu Ming, Brother Lu." Some prodigies came over to greet Lu Ming. They were all people who used to cultivate in Yuan Mountain Academy. Some of them were still enemies with Lu Ming at that time, because at that time there were 4 major alliances in Yuan Mountain Academy, such as the Divine Fire Alliance and the Knights Association. Now, the leader of the Knights Association greeted Lu Ming with a smile. "Brother Luo." Lu Ming nodded. The leader of the Knights Association was called Luo Zhan. "Brother Lu is getting stronger and stronger. Now I'm too far behind you." Luo Zhan sighed. He had a king physique and had now stepped into the quasi-emperor realm. However, Lu Ming could even defeat a quasi-emperor from the Elysian children. He was far behind. "Brother Luo, you're too polite. By the way, you came a few days earlier to see Longchen, Huangli, and the others?" Lu Ming asked. As far as he knew, Longchen, Huangli, and some others had already arrived at the Divine Fate Land. Logically speaking, if they were nearby, they should have come to watch such a big show. However, Lu Ming didn't see any of them. "Half a month ago, I did see Longchen and Huangli. The 2 of them work together, but I haven't seen them recently. I think they must have left this area and gone to Destiny City." Luo Zhan said. Lu Ming nodded. The Battle of 10 Earths was getting closer and closer. They might have gone to Destiny City first. "Brother Lu, are you going to Aeon City? I heard that when you enter Aeon City, the Heavenly Emperor's statue will awaken and emit the Heavenly Tao aura. It's very mysterious and can help people comprehend the Tao. Many people have gone to Aeon City." Luo Zhan said, "The Heavenly Emperor's statue has awakened." Lu Ming, Chao Kai, and Chiu Moon were shocked. The Heavenly Emperor's statue was no small matter. "Don't you know? Great, we can go together." Luo Zhan said, "Okay, let's go take a look." Lu Ming said. Chapter 2087. Aeon City could be said to be the largest city in the south of the Divine Fate Land. It was known as Aeon City and had existed for countless years. This ancient city was occupied by several huge forces. In history, more than one celestial emperor had appeared, and it was extremely powerful. Recently, in Aeon City, there was a famous celestial emperor statue that had actually awakened, exuding the aura of the heavenly Tao that could help people comprehend the Tao, attracting countless people to come. Moreover, it just so happened that the Battle of 10 Earths was approaching. Countless people from all over rushed over, so naturally there were more people. Lu Ming and the others walked on the street, looking around and exclaiming in amazement. Aeon City was no smaller than Celestial City in the land of Yuan Mountain. In fact, it was even more majestic. Soon, they arrived at their destination, the Celestial Emperor statue. A huge statue, carved from jade, was 1,000 meters tall, standing in the center of Aeon City. It was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance. He stood with his hands behind his back, but he had a kind of aura that could swallow the world and sweep away the world. This was the Celestial Emperor statue. It was only a statue at first, but now the statue was emitting rays of light that illuminated the area. A mystical aura was emitted from it. Is there a Celestial Emperor in Aeon City now? Lu Ming asked. His heart was not calm. No, legend has it that there are almost no Celestial Emperors in the Yuan realm now. Chao Kai said, No Celestial Emperors. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and the others were all puzzled. Yes, I also heard that most of the Celestial Emperors have gone to the Heaven realm to participate in the war. Perhaps a few of them stayed in the Yuan realm, but it has been a long time since a Celestial Emperor appeared. Chao Kai said. Lu Ming nodded. The Yuan realm, from ancient times until now, must have given birth to some Celestial Emperors. The Celestial Emperors no longer had a great calamity, their lifespan was endless, and their combat strength was unparalleled. If they did not encounter a great enemy, they would almost never fall. But now it was almost impossible to see a Celestial Emperor in the Yuan realm, so it was very likely that they really went to the Heaven realm to participate in the war. For example, in the land of Yuan Mountain, it was impossible for only Celestial Emperor Hangyu to be born. There must be other Celestial Emperors. How intense is the war in the Heaven realm? Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil. Even the Celestial Emperor had gone to the Heaven realm to participate in the war. One could imagine how terrifying the war was. Under the huge statue of the Celestial Emperor, there were many people sitting cross-legged, mainly young people. An old man at the side explained. Although the revival of the Heavenly Emperor's statue was miraculous, it was mainly useful for cultivators below Martial Emperor. Even low-level faux emperors might be of some use. However, for those with higher cultivations, it would not be of much use. Let's go too, Lu Ming said. After that, Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, Chao Kai, Luo Zhan, and the others walked to the Heavenly Emperor statue and sat down cross-legged in an empty space. Along the way, they saw many geniuses. Most of the Elysian children who had appeared on the Emperor Gazing Pillar had appeared here. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. His mind was empty. All of a sudden, he felt a gush of energy shrouding him. That gush of energy seemed to allow his mind to pass through layers of space and become one with heaven. The heavenly Tao contained everything. The myriad of laws of the world were all within the heavenly Tao. Lu Ming's mind shuddered as he began to comprehend the law of death. He could feel that his understanding of the law of death was extremely clear. It was even clearer and faster than when he was comprehending under the Tao Comprehension Ancient Tree. This is a good place. Lu Ming wore a smile on his face as he began to comprehend the law of death. He mainly focused on comprehending the law of death and the law of devour. Time gradually passed. His progress in comprehending the two laws was extremely fast. Every day, he would spend half of his time comprehending the law of death and the other half comprehending the law of devour. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Lu Ming's comprehension of the law of death had reached 85%, while his comprehension of the law of devour had reached 92%. Comprehending the law of death was more difficult as one progressed. It was shocking to have such a great progress in just a month. On this day, while Lu Ming was comprehending the law of death, he suddenly felt his hair stand on end as he felt a murderous intent looming over him. Although he was cultivating, he was more or less paying attention to the outside world. If someone was hostile to him, he would immediately be alerted. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and looked behind him. Behind him, a young man was walking over and looking coldly at Lu Ming. Bang! The young man stopped at a spot not far from Lu Ming. You're Lu Ming. The young man spoke indifferently, full of arrogance. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He did not know this person, but he could feel that this person did not come with good intentions. That's right, Lu Ming replied. At this time, many people outside the statue were not cultivating and noticed Lu Ming and the young man. It's Mu Yang of the Mu clan. He's an extremely terrifying genius. It's said that he's the son of the void who controls the law of nothingness. He reached the quasi-emperor realm a long time ago. Who is that young man? Mu Yang seems to be hostile to him. I know. That young man is from the Yuan Mountain. He's the son of chaos with a peak absolute saint cultivation. He defeated the quasi-emperor's son of reincarnation. He. What? He's the son of chaos? And he defeated the quasi-emperor's son of reincarnation with a peak absolute saint cultivation? Many people were shocked when they heard the truth. The son of chaos was already shocking. Moreover, he was a peak absolute saint and defeated the quasi-emperor's son of reincarnation. This was even more shocking. My name is Mu Yang. Yuan Xin is my good friend. At this time the young man spoke. Yuan Xin? Lu Ming was puzzled. He had never heard of this name. What did Mu Yang have to do with Yuan Xin? My good friend Yuan Xin is also the son of chaos. You've met him before. Mu Yang said indifferently. The son of chaos? Could it be him? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. He thought of the son of chaos he met during the Hunyuan sex assessment. Yuan Xin once mentioned you, saying that you control the primal chaos emperor's primal chaos scripture. He's now in seclusion to break through to a higher realm. As his good friend, I naturally have to share his burden. Hand over your primal chaos scripture, Mu Yang said indifferently. Although his voice wasn't loud, it had a commanding tone. It's really that person. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The only person who knew that Lu Ming had the primal chaos scripture was the son of chaos who had also been to the primal chaos palace. The son of chaos was extremely rare. It was even harder to be born than the other sons of heaven. Lu Ming hadn't heard of any other sons of chaos who had mastered the law of chaos. If you want the primal chaos scripture, let's see if you have the ability. Lu Ming spoke, his voice turning cold. Oh, so you're saying that you want to fight me? Don't think that you're invincible just because you defeated He. In the divine fate land, there are many people stronger than He. Mu Yang said coldly. You'll know if you try. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted from Mu Yang's body. Waves of energy rushed toward Lu Ming like shock waves. Chapter 2088. Lu Ming and Mu Yang faced each other, an icy cold aura pervading the area, causing many people who were cultivating to wake up. What's going on? It's Mu Yang and that Lu Ming. Many people were shocked and angry, but when they saw that it was Mu Yang and Lu Ming, they all shut their mouths. They could see that the two peerless geniuses had a conflict and were about to fight. Boom! Mu Yang attacked. His palm was covered with a layer of light. It was extremely terrifying, as if even space had turned into nothingness, causing the area around his palm to look like a black hole. Boom! Lu Ming went up, using the primal chaos divine palm. His palm turned gray, like a primal chaos stone. The two's palms heavily collided. It was as if a great bell had vibrated. A terrifying force formed rings of shockwaves that swept out in all directions. Many people's bodies blossomed with light, blocking the shockwaves. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming and Mu Yang's bodies trembled. They continued to exchange a few blows, but there was no clear victor. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt that Mu Yang's power was like a storm pressing down on him. Combined with the law of nothingness, it almost broke his law of primal chaos and turned him into nothingness. This Mu Yang was definitely stronger than He. You do have some strength, no wonder you are so arrogant. But this strength is not enough. Mu Yang's eyes seemed to blossom with a strange light. It was the light of nothingness. His aura became stronger and stronger. But at this moment, an incomparably terrifying aura exploded from the sky. A terrifying pressure, like an immemorial mountain, pressed down on Lu Ming and Mu Yang, causing their bodies to stiffen. Unknowingly, a white-haired old man had appeared in the sky. The old man looked down at Lu Ming and Muyang, coldly saying, "In front of the Heavenly Emperor's statue, no impudence, no fighting, violators will be killed. Since it's your first offense, I will let you go this time. If you want to fight, go somewhere else." Lu Ming and Muyang retracted their auras, but their eyes were still coldly staring at each other. "Do you dare to fight with me on the stage?" Muyang said coldly. He was extremely confident in himself. Previously, although the battle prowess Lu Ming had displayed was very shocking, he was confident that he could defeat Lu Ming because he had not used his full strength just now. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Lu Ming replied indifferently. "Senior, let us go," Muyang said to the old man in the sky. The old man withdrew his aura, and the pressure on Lu Ming and the others disappeared. "Come if you have the guts." Muyang left behind these words before stepping into the air and leaving. Lu Ming smiled and followed him. Chiu Yu, Chao Kai, and the rest hurried to catch up. The son of primal chaos is going to battle Muyang. Let's go take a look. I heard that Muyang advanced to Quasi-Emperor long ago and is already preparing to break through to Martial Emperor. His combat prowess is extremely strong. That Lu Ming has not advanced to Quasi-Emperor yet. He actually dares to accept the challenge? The Heavenly Sons are all proud and arrogant. How can they not accept a challenge? However, I think that Lu Ming will most likely lose this time. After all, he is only a complete Paragon Saint. I think so too. No matter how strong a complete Paragon Saint is, there is a limit to it. Voices could be heard all around. Of course, Lu Ming could hear them. He guessed that Muyang had already started to develop a small world. Such a person could already prepare to break through to Martial Emperor. Not long after, they came to a spacious area. There was a huge battle stage here. At this moment, there were two people fighting on the stage. They were two youths with king bodies. Their combat prowess was not weak. However, Muyang was extremely domineering. He directly flew towards the battle stage and stepped on it. He shouted, "Both of you get down!" The terrifying void light caused the two youths' expressions to change drastically. They quickly retreated and landed at the edge of the battle stage, looking at Muyang with ugly expressions. They were in the middle of a battle, and Muyang had directly asked them to get down. This was an insult to them. "What? Why are you still here? Do you want to fight with me?" Muyang looked at the two youths with king bodies, and his voice was filled with displeasure. The two youths did not dare to fight with Muyang. In the end, they could only swallow their anger and jump down from the battle stage. Many people around them were unhappy. Muyang was too domineering. However, no one stood out to criticize him. Not only was Muyang powerful, but the force behind him was also terrifying. No one was willing to offend him. "Lu Ming, get down here and fight with me." Muyang's voice resounded in all directions. "Don't shout so loudly. I won't run," Lu Ming said indifferently. He stepped into the air and landed on the battle stage. "Lu Ming, I advise you to obediently hand over the primal chaos scripture. This time, I can let you go and let you participate in the battle of the 10 Earths. Otherwise, you won't even be able to participate in the battle of the 10 Earths," Muyang said coldly. Of course, he was transmitting his message to Lu Ming. He did not transmit it to anyone else. "I said if you want it, let's see if you have the ability to do so." Lu Ming smiled coldly. "Stubborn. Then I let you see what it means by there's always someone better than you." Muyang's eyes were cold. His body emitted a cold killing intent. Boom! He took a step forward and charged towards Lu Ming. His body was enveloped in the light of the void as he charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the law of primal chaos and went up to meet him. This time, they were not under the Heavenly Emperor's statue, but on the battle stage. There was no need to hold back. The two of them fought without restraint. Boom! Boom! The two of them clashed continuously. The battle stage rumbled and exploded continuously. The two of them fought with speed. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. The fighting ring was surrounded by people, densely packed with people. There were many terrifying geniuses. Many of them were sons of the heavens. Lu Ming is no match for Mu Yang, Yu He said. Previously, he had fought with Lu Ming and was aware of Lu Ming's strength. Amitabha, that may not be the case. I think that Lu Ming will win. Monk Wu Chen of Wuya Temple chanted the name of Buddha and said with a smile. These words caused everyone's expression to change. Monk Wu Chen controlled the law of cause and effect. Everything in the world was related to cause and effect. He might be able to see through cause and effect. You said that Lu Ming hid his strength when he fought with me previously? Yu He's eyes shone brightly. He was unwilling to believe it. I can't say. You'll know when you continue watching. Monk Wu Chen smiled. It was unfathomable. At that moment, Lu Ming and Mu Yang had exchanged more than 10 blows. At that moment, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. He has indeed started to evolve a small world. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Mu Yang had already started to break through to the martial emperor realm. He had started to use the law of cause as a foundation to evolve a small world. His saint force contained a trace of the power of a small world. Its power was shocking. Now, Lu Ming had only used the law of primal chaos and was already at a disadvantage. Lu Ming, I have said that you are no match for me. Mu Yang launched a flurry of attacks. At the same time, his cold and arrogant voice entered Lu Ming's ears. It's too early for you to be happy. Lu Ming replied indifferently. Chapter 2089. If one type of law wasn't enough, then he would use 2. Lu Ming's muscles bulged as his saint power surged. Silently, he merged the array Dao law into the primal chaos law. Boom! Lu Ming's palm power suddenly increased as he struck out, breaking Mu Yang's law of nothingness. Mu Yang's expression changed as his body shook, and he couldn't help but retreat. Your power? How is that possible? Mu Yang said in shock. How could Lu Ming's power suddenly increase? He was much stronger than before. He couldn't see that Lu Ming had merged 2 types of laws. In the land of infinite demons, Lu Ming had stayed in the canyon of the Demon Sea for more than 2 years. Every day he would challenge and fight. He was already extremely proficient in the use of laws. When he used a few types of laws, he could use the primal chaos law to cover up the other laws. Of course, if he used 2 types of supreme laws at the same time, it wouldn't be able to be covered up because supreme laws were too strong. But when he used supreme laws and monarch Dao law, he could cover it up so that others couldn't see it. Therefore, Mu Yang couldn't understand how Lu Ming's power had increased so much. Around the battle stage, the others were also shocked. Lu Ming had suddenly exploded and forced Mu Yang to retreat. Lu Ming indeed hid his strength when he fought with me previously. Yu He sighed as his eyes were filled with disappointment. He still wanted to defeat Lu Ming in the 10 Lands battle, but now it seemed that it would be difficult. Amitabha. Monk Wu Chen chanted a Buddhist chant. When the other Elysian children looked at Lu Ming, their expressions were grave. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong and exceeded common sense. Kill! On the battle stage, Lu Ming roared as he charged towards Mu Yang. Every move of his contained the fusion of the primal chaos law and the array Dao law. Its power was astonishing. Moreover, the array Dao law was already perfect, so its power was even greater. The fusion of the laws didn't increase the power by as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Instead, it increased exponentially. The more laws were fused, the stronger the power. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming and Mu Yang once again clashed. But this time, Mu Yang was completely suppressed, falling into a disadvantageous position. He was no match for Lu Ming, and every time they clashed, his body would violently tremble. as if he had been struck by an ancient divine mountain. His incomparably powerful saint energy was actually useless. He could not block it. Impossible! How is this possible? Mu Yang simply couldn't accept it. He had already begun to develop a small world. Once the time was right, he would be able to break through to the martial emperor realm. Shao Chun was already infinitely close to martial emperor. Furthermore, he was a firmament scion. He was much stronger than those firmament scions who had just advanced to quasi-emperor. However, Lu Ming was only at the peak of the absolute saint realm. His law of chaos hadn't formed a river yet. How could he be so strong? He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He roared angrily and used all of his strength, but he was still suppressed by Lu Ming. The Sea of Void! In the end, Mu Yang executed his strongest move. This was a terrifying magic skill with boundless power. It pushed the law of void's power to its limits, forming a sea of law of void that enveloped everything. It wanted to turn everything into nothingness. In reality, many people grasped more than one magic skill after becoming a quasi-emperor. This was because after becoming a quasi-emperor and reaching the peak of the law of chaos, one could easily grasp other magic skills and raise them to their limits. It was just like how Lu Ming cultivated the primal chaos divine palm. Of course, the prerequisite was that one had to have a corresponding magic skill. The Sea of Nothingness was Mu Yang's trump card. Splash! It really sounded like waves crashing. Lu Ming was enveloped by the Sea of Void. Turn into nothingness! Mu Yang roared, his voice filled with boundless killing intent. At this moment, he no longer wanted to take the primal chaos scripture from Lu Ming. Instead, he wanted to kill Lu Ming. The Battle of the 10 Earths had yet to begin. He could not lose. Once he lost, he would suffer a crushing defeat in the Battle of the 10 Earths. What a terrifying magic skill! Lu Ming is in danger. Someone exclaimed. The law of void turned into an ocean and enveloped an area. It was simply too terrifying. Many people could not help but worry for Lu Ming. Mu Yang can be said to be a seated expert in this battle of the 10 Earths. He has a high chance of entering the top 10. When he erupts, his battle strength is truly shocking. That's right. In the past, Mu Yang was almost invincible in the divine fate land. There were only a few people in the younger generation who could defeat him. Some people spoke. However, Autumn Moon and Chao Kai's eyes were calm. There was no worry in their eyes. Autumn Moon knew very well how strong Lu Ming was when he erupted with his full strength. As for Chao Kai, he had seen Lu Ming fight before. They knew that Lu Ming had not used his full strength yet. Rumble. Mu Yang stood above the Sea of Void. His eyes were cold as he constantly used the law of void to ensure that Lu Ming would be turned into nothingness. But in the next instant, Mu Yang's expression changed, because the Sea of Void had started to shake. It was as if there was a giant beast stirring up the winds and clouds. Boom! In the end, an incomparably huge finger that looked like the finger of a god charged out of the Sea of Void. Boom! Boom! Next, primal chaos tribulation fingers charged out from various parts of the Sea of Void. The Sea of Void turned into a beehive. Then, with a violent explosion, it completely exploded. Impossible! Mu Yang roared in disbelief. His body shook violently as he retreated. Blood flowed out of his mouth. Nothing is impossible. Kill! The Sea of Void disappeared and Lu Ming's figure appeared. He was unscathed as he roared and charged at Mu Yang. Boom! The large hand pressed down. Mu Yang was already injured and was no match for Lu Ming. He was sent flying dozens of meters and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming followed, closely behind. He did not give Mu Yang any chance to catch his breath as he launched a torrential barrage of attacks at Mu Yang. Mu Yang was already injured and was no match for Lu Ming. After exchanging a few blows with Lu Ming, he felt as if his arm was about to break as he continued to spit out blood. Bang! Finally, he was unable to block and was struck by Lu Ming's palm on his chest. His chest caved in from the blow and almost exploded into a large hole. If not for his powerful law light and astonishing defensive power, his body would have exploded from this move. But even so, he was still lying on the ground, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. He was severely injured. With your strength, you still want to get the primal chaos scripture from me? Let Yuan Exan do it herself. Lu Ming looked down at Mu Yang and said coldly, full of disdain. Mu Yang was mad with hatred. He wished he could chop Lu Ming into 8 pieces. Lu Ming, let me tell you, I have already investigated you. You have many friends in Yuan Mountain. Now, there are a few people who are guests in my Mu family. You better hand over the primal chaos scripture and follow me to the Mu family. Otherwise, all your friends will die. Mu Yang suddenly said coldly. Of course, he was transmitting his voice. What? Lu Ming was shocked. Chapter 2090. Seeing Lu Ming's shock, Mu Yang sneered. Ever since he knew that there was a son of chaos in Yuan Mountain who was Yuan Exan's nemesis, he had been paying attention to Yuan Mountain. When the geniuses of Yuan Mountain came to the divine fate land, he began to investigate, wanting to know Lu Ming's whereabouts and deal with Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not come, but he found out about Lu Ming's friends, and he immediately sent people to capture them. It was just a precaution, but he did not expect it to come in handy. There are 2 people who control the law of force. One is called Long Chin, and the other is called Desolate Force. They're both in my Mu family. Haha, Lu Ming, follow me to the Mu family and hand over the primal chaos scripture. Mu Yang laughed and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. His heart was filled with cold killing intent. Today, Lu Ming had defeated him in front of everyone, and in his opinion, it was a great humiliation. As long as Lu Ming stepped into the Mu family, he would make Lu Ming regret it. You deserve to die, Lu Ming said coldly, staring at Mu Yang with a cold gaze. At that moment, his killing intent was extremely dense. It seemed that Long Chin and Desolate Force had indeed fallen into Mu Yang's hands. You still dare to threaten me at this time? Mu Yang's face was gloomy. I said you're stupid, you really are. You shouldn't have said it here at this time. Lu Ming said coldly. Mu Yang's face changed drastically and he shouted, What are you trying to do? At the same time, he quickly retreated, but it was too late. Lu Ming's body was like a bolt of lightning, rushing towards Mu Yang. Boom! This time, Lu Ming had also integrated the law of Devour, making Lu Ming's battle strength even stronger. With one strike, Mu Yang's arms directly exploded, turning into flesh and blood that splattered everywhere. The terrifying power directly pierced through Mu Yang's protective light of laws and pierced through his body, revealing a hole that went straight through his front and back. Mu Yang fell to the ground and screamed. Crack! In the next moment, Lu Ming rushed over and stepped on Mu Yang's legs, breaking them. Mu Yang let out a hysterical scream. Lu Ming, I'll kill you! Mu Yang roared. Bang! In the next moment, Lu Ming stomped on Mu Yang's face, almost crushing his head. Mu Yang vomited a large mouthful of blood, and almost all of his teeth fell out. Tell your men to bring my friend here in exchange for you. If my friend loses a single hair, I'll kill you. Lu Ming said coldly. You dare? Mu Yang roared. Bang! Lu Ming stepped on his face again, causing Mu Yang to scream miserably. At this moment, Mu Yang was filled with regret. He was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. He should not have mentioned that he had captured Long Chin and Desolate Force on the fighting ring. He had not expected Lu Ming to be so decisive. The main reason was that the force behind him was too strong. Therefore, he subconsciously thought that Lu Ming would not dare to do anything to him. Also, Lu Ming's friend was in his hands. He thought that he had everything under control, but he had not expected Lu Ming to take him down directly. The main reason was that Lu Ming was too decisive. In an instant, he had thought of a way to save Muyang. Ordinary people would not have thought of it and would not be so decisive. Around the fighting ring, many people looked at each other. Because Muyang had spoken to them through voice transmission, they did not know the whole story and were very confused. They did not understand why Lu Ming had suddenly gone crazy and tortured Muyang. How dare you? Let go of young Master Muyang. Brat, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you're the son of chaos. If you offend the Mu family, you'll die without a burial ground. At the scene, a few experts from the Mu family roared, and a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies. They were all martial emperors. If you guys continue to blabber, I'll kill him. Lu Ming coldly glanced at the martial emperors and said coldly. His voice was filled with cold killing intent. The martial emperors from the Mu family all shut up. Muyang was the #1 genius of the Mu family. His talent was peerless. Nothing could happen to him. Why aren't you calling people to bring my friend here? Lu Ming lowered his head and looked down at Muyang. At this moment, Muyang was being stepped on by Lu Ming. He was incomparably humiliated. If there was a crack in the fighting ring, he would find a crack and hide in it. He was the son of the void, a genius who was about to break through to the martial emperor realm. He was known as one of the strongest factions in the Battle of the 10 Earths. However, at this moment, he was being ruthlessly stepped on by Lu Ming. He really could not bear it. However, the cold killing intent from Lu Ming's body told him that Lu Ming would really kill him. Go and bring people here. Finally, Muyang roared and called the experts of the Mu family to bring people here. The experts of the Mu family had ugly expressions, but in the end, they still left and flew towards the Mu family. The headquarters of the Mu family was in Aeon City. It seems that Muyang has captured Lu Ming's friend. Through the conversation between Lu Ming and Muyang, many people could see what was going on. No wonder Lu Ming was suddenly furious. At the same time, everyone was even more shocked. Lu Ming's ability was too powerful. It had reached a terrifying level. Is his cultivation really still at the peak of the absolute Saint Realm? He hasn't broken through to the boundary Emperor realm? Some people spoke, finding it hard to believe. His laws have not formed a river. He is indeed at the peak of the absolute Saint Realm. An expert spoke and confirmed Lu Ming's cultivation. This made everyone gasp. Lu Ming's physical body is extremely powerful, far surpassing that of an ordinary son of the heavens. I reckon that he must have had a heaven-defying fortuitous encounter, causing his physical body to become shockingly powerful. His combat strength has also greatly increased. An older generation figure spoke. They had seen through the situation. Although his physical body is powerful, his law power is even more terrifying. He is strong in all aspects and has almost no weakness. Another older generation figure spoke. Monster. Many people sighed. Fortunately, this person's cultivation is low. If his cultivation was high, who would be his match in this battle of the 10 lands? It's hard to say. Don't forget that this generation has given birth to a son of destiny. These words caused many people to be greatly shocked. Yes, a son of destiny. This was undoubtedly an extremely terrifying figure, a true invincible figure. Also, the ancient cultivation system has also appeared. Someone has cultivated it to a terrifying level. Also, the son of Chaos Yuan Xan is said to be in seclusion to break through to the martial emperor realm. Following that, someone spoke, causing everyone's hearts to tremble again. Meanwhile, some sons of the heavens had extremely solemn expressions. This time, the Battle of the 10 Lands would probably be incomparably intense. It would become a shocking event. Lu Ming did not wait for too long. In less than half an hour, a group of people flew over. They were the experts of the Mu family. They flew over with 2 young men. Long Chen, Huang Li. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. The two young men were Long Chen and Huang Li. Lu Ming. Long Chen and Huang Li also saw Lu Ming and revealed a look of shock. When they saw Mu Yang being stepped on by Lu Ming, they knew what had happened. Lu Ming, what you're doing is too dangerous. Long Chen sighed with a solemn expression. We're friends. Chapter 2091. Yes, they were friends. If they were friends, how could they leave them in the lurch? If the situation was reversed and Lu Ming was in danger, they would definitely save him. Long Chen, Huang Li, is it just the two of you? Is there anyone else? Lu Ming inquired. If there were others captured by Mu Yang, he would save them as well. No, it's just the two of us. That bastard, I'll kill him one day. Huang Li spoke, looking at Mu Yang unhappily. Swap. Lu Ming looked at the Mu family's experts. Hand over young Master Mu Yang first, then we'll let him go. One of the Mu family's experts said cunningly, Nonsense, hand him over, or I'll cripple him now. Lu Ming said coldly. A long spear appeared in his hand, pressing against Mu Yang's dantian. The Mu family's experts' faces changed. Mu Yang's identity was too important. They didn't dare to gamble. In their eyes, Long Chen, Huang Li, and the others were just king physiques. How could their value be compared to Mu Yang's? All right, we'll let him go. One of the Mu family's experts shouted, releasing Long Chen and Huang Li. The two of them quickly flew to Lu Ming's side. Now, you can let young Master Mu Yang go. One of the Mu family's experts said, Let him go now. Do you think I'm stupid? This is Aeon City, your Mu family's territory. If I let him go now, won't your Mu family's experts kill me with a slap? Lu Ming sneered. Brat, don't push your luck. One of the Mu family's experts roared. The other Mu family's experts had ugly expressions. They had indeed hidden experts in the dark. As long as Lu Ming let Mu Yang go, the Mu family's experts would take action and kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. Only death awaited those who dared to threaten their Mu family. However, Lu Ming didn't fall for their trick, which made them furious. The rest of the people were also secretly amazed. They were amazed by Lu Ming's courage and his meticulousness. What do you mean I'm going overboard? I'm doing this to save my own life. Your young Master Mu Yang's life is so precious. If he were to die because of us, honestly speaking, it's not worth it at all. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed Lu Ming's neck, causing Mu Yang's eyes to spit fire. He wished he could chop Lu Ming into pieces. What do you want to do? In the end, the Mu family compromised and an expert spoke. Tell us to leave the city. Your Mu family can't follow us. I have a secret technique that allows me to sense the aura of experts. Once we leave the city, I'll immediately kill Mu Yang. It'll be a life and death struggle, Lu Ming said. As for what kind of secret technique he had that could allow him to sense the aura of experts, it was pure nonsense to deceive the Mu clan. There was nothing he could do about it. He was facing a colossus like the Mu clan, and he couldn't use his celestial emperor body right now, so he could only use some other methods. How can we trust you? What if you harm young Master Mu Yang after leaving the city? An expert of the Mu clan spoke, not wanting to back down. You can only take a gamble. There's no other choice. Lu Ming's voice resounded, causing the Mu clan's experts to narrow their eyes, revealing killing intent. Moreover, your Mu clan is so powerful, and I don't have any great enmity with you. There's no need for me to offend the Mu clan, so why would I kill Mu Yang? I'm not crazy. Lu Ming continued. The Mu clan's experts fell silent. Lu Ming was right. If Lu Ming really killed Mu Yang, he would have to face the Mu clan's crazy revenge. To Lu Ming, there was no benefit at all. All right, we agree. Kid, you better not play any tricks. One of the Mu clan's experts said. Of course not. Long Chen, Huang Li, let's go. Lu Ming lifted Mu Yang and flew out, with Long Chen and Huang Li following closely behind. Your Mu clan, it's best if no one else follows. Lu Ming's gaze swept over the others. Some of them wanted to join in the fun, but Lu Ming wouldn't allow that. What if the Mu clan's people were mixed in with them? Everyone, please stay. The Mu clan's people were helpless. They knew that Lu Ming's thoughts were meticulous, and there was no loophole. They could only block the others. The Mu clan's power was incomparably powerful. The others naturally wouldn't go against the Mu clan, so they all stopped. Lu Ming's group of 3 brought Mu Yang out of Aeon City with extreme speed. Of course, Qiu Yu also followed. As for Chao Kai, Lu Ming transmitted a message to him to stay in Aeon City. Because Chao Kai and Lu Ming didn't have much of a relationship, and they just met, the Mu clan shouldn't make things difficult for him. Not long after, Lu Ming's group left Aeon City. Lu Ming didn't let go of Mu Yang immediately. He was afraid that if the Mu clan's experts were high up in the sky, it would be troublesome. Lu Ming used array Dao Law to completely seal Mu Yang. Not long after, they arrived at a large mountain. Lu Ming's group rushed into a cave, hiding from all sight. This brat is so young, but his thoughts are too meticulous. High up in the sky, there were indeed 2 figures. These 2 were experts from the Mu clan. They were incomparably terrifying as they were both peak true emperors. They concealed their auras and hid in the sky. As long as Lu Ming let go of Mu Yang, they would attack and kill Lu Ming's group. However, Lu Ming was very careful and hid in the cave. They couldn't see him and didn't dare to use their spiritual senses. If Lu Ming sensed them, they might really kill Mu Yang. They could only wait. Qiu Yu, Long Chen, Huang Li, use your divine aura technique and hide in my mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming said to the 3 Qiu Yu in the cave. Just the mountain and river diagram alone wasn't enough. True emperors were too strong and could sense the aura inside a heavenly grotto. Only by using the divine aura technique together with the mountain and river diagram could they isolate the aura of the other party. The 3 Qiu Yu had cultivated the divine aura technique before. The 3 nodded and used it to enter the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming threw Mu Yang into the cave and coldly stared at him. Tell Yuan Exen that I will cut off his head sooner or later. With that, Lu Ming's body sank into the ground and disappeared from sight. Lu Ming converted the law of primal chaos into the law of the earth and sank into the ground for 100 miles. At the same time, he used the divine aura technique to conceal his aura as much as possible before heading deeper into the divine fate ground. Lu Ming didn't kill Mu Yang because he knew that Mu Yang would definitely seek revenge. However, if he did, he would have to face the wrath of the entire Mu clan and even Grand Emperors. That would be even more dangerous. In the sky, the 2 true emperors had been waiting for half a day. They had lost their patience. It's been so long, let's go down and take a look. One of them said. The other nodded. The 2 of them rushed down and arrived at the cave. They saw that Mu Yang was covered in dense symbols. One of the true emperors waved his hand and broke the seal on Mu Yang's body. Ah, damn it, I will tear that brat to pieces. Mu Yang roared crazily after regaining his freedom. This time, he had lost too much face and became a laughingstock. His hatred for Lu Ming would never be washed away. Send someone to find that brat. Chapter 2092. Lu Ming traveled underground for more than a day. He didn't know how far he had traveled before Lu Ming came out of the ground. After coming out of the ground, Lu Ming transformed into a dark-skinned youth. He used the divine breathing technique and took out a goshawk puppet. This goshawk puppet was given to him by Chao Kai. When it spread its wings, it was 100 meters wide and its speed was 100 times faster than the shuttle. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on it and flew toward Destiny City. For the time being, Lu Ming didn't let Qiu Moon and the other 2 out. He let them cultivate in the mountain and river diagram. This place was still very far away from Destiny City. 2 days later, Lu Ming came to a teleportation area. Through the teleportation array, he finally arrived near Destiny City. At this time, Lu Ming let Qiu Qiu Moon, Long Chen, and Huangli come out of the mountain and river diagram and rushed towards Destiny City. Tianming City was majestic and had been standing on this piece of land for countless years. Legend had it that Tianming City was the first ancient city in the primordial realm. It had existed for countless years, and after countless years of expansion, it occupied a vast area. Naturally, there were terrifying forces entrenched in Tianming City. Some people even said that there was a heavenly emperor in Destiny City. No one could verify this news, but it was definitely shocking. Legend had it that most heavenly emperors had gone to the heavenly world to participate in the war. It had been many years since a heavenly emperor had appeared in the Yuan continent. That was why there was a saying that emperors were the pinnacle if a heavenly emperor didn't appear. Furthermore, because the Battle of the 10 Earths was coming, countless young geniuses from all over the Yuan continent had gathered in Destiny City. Therefore, the strongest forces in Destiny City had announced that no killing was allowed in Destiny City during this period of time. If there was a fight, it could be on a fixed stage. This was to protect the young geniuses. Apart from the young geniuses, there were even more martial emperors. During this period of time, the experts in Destiny City would gather. If they didn't control it, it would definitely be chaotic. This was also the reason why Lu Ming and the others rushed to Destiny City. The Mu clan wouldn't give up. Right now, Destiny City was the safest place. Not long after, Lu Ming and the others finally entered Destiny City. Even though they had seen the likes of Celestial City and Aeon City, Destiny City still gave them a great shock, because it was simply too ancient, too vicissitudes of life, too vast. Tianming City was like another world. It contained everything, mountains, rivers, and even various forbidden grounds. Over the years, countless experts had been born, and naturally there were also countless opportunities. The origin qi in this land was extremely dense. The four of them strolled around the city before settling down at an inn. Although it was called an inn, it was actually a huge courtyard. There were a total of 8 rooms, and the area was extremely large. Of course, the price was also shocking. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and the others had been in Destiny City for 7 days. Nothing out of the ordinary had happened. The Mu clan hadn't come looking for them. Tianming City is so vast, and it can be said to be the most prosperous place in the Yuan continent. I wonder if I can, by the law of death, divine ability. Lu Ming pondered as he ended his cultivation. The further one cultivated the law of death, the harder it was to comprehend it. Lu Ming felt that he needed a law of death, divine ability. That way, they could complement each other, and it would be faster for him to improve. Thinking of this, Lu Ming walked out of the inn and asked around. Then he went to the largest trading place in Destiny City. The largest trading place in Tianming City was also the largest trading place in Yuan continent. It had everything. When Lu Ming walked in, he was dazzled by what he saw. There were all kinds of treasures. Lu Ming even saw a few rare treasures in the world. Lu Ming was very envious. Of course, the prices were also shockingly expensive. However, no one dared to rob here because this place was built by the strongest forces in Destiny City. It was said that there were terrifying experts overseeing this place. Even great emperors had to behave themselves. Lu Ming walked around and bought some spiritual liquid, intending to water the enlightenment ancient tree. After that, he came to a shop that specialized in selling secret manuals. "Young master, how may I help you?" As soon as Lu Ming entered the shop, a young and beautiful lady approached him with a gentle smile on her face. Lu Ming didn't disguise himself. After coming to Destiny City, he returned to his original appearance. "I want to buy a divine ability." Lu Ming smiled. "May I know what law of death divine ability you are looking for? Our shop is rich in all kinds of divine ability. We have at least 90% of the divine ability from the myriad of law of death." The young lady smiled. 90%. Lu Ming was shocked. This shop was definitely not simple. There were thousands of Law of Death in the world, and it was hard to count them. However, this shop actually said that it had 90% of the divine ability from the myriad of Law of Death. I want a divine ability from the Law of Death, Lu Ming said directly. The young lady's eyes lit up and looked at Lu Ming curiously. Could Lu Ming be a death child? Apart from the death child who controlled the Law of Death, it was useless for others to buy a divine ability from him. Young master, please follow me. The young lady's smile widened and brought Lu Ming to a room. Young master, please take a seat. In the room, there was an old man who was the manager of this place. He looked at Lu Ming with a smile. Young master needs a divine ability from the Law of Death? The old man asked. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. So young master is a death child? The old man asked again. Lu Ming nodded. The old man smiled and said, Our shop happens to have a divine ability from the Law of Death called the Death Eye. However, the price is not cheap. I'll buy it. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He didn't expect that there would be a divine ability from the Law of Death here. It was indeed worthy of being called Destiny City. However, the price of a divine ability was too high. In the end, Lu Ming spent 80% of his wealth to buy the Death Eye. His heart was bleeding from the pain. One had to know that Lu Ming had killed many experts during this period, including the Blue Demon King of the ancient Devil Kingdom. That was a peak true Emperor expert. Lu Ming could be said to be rich. However, it was almost emptied out in an instant. A divine ability from one of the 10 strongest laws was too expensive. However, it was all worth it. The Death Eye could erupt with the power of the Law of Death through the eyes, instantly plunging the enemy into death and robbing them of their vitality. It was extremely domineering. As long as he succeeded in cultivating it, Lu Ming would have another powerful technique. Moreover, it would also be able to promote the cultivation of the Law of Death. After returning to the inn, Lu Ming immediately started comprehending the Death Eye. Sure enough, with the help of the divine ability, Lu Ming's comprehension of the Law of Death became faster and easier. Chapter 2093. Aeon City, the Mu clan in a large hall. Mu Yang sat in the main seat with a gloomy expression. After half a month, his injuries had fully recovered, but his anger and murderous intent hadn't subsided in the slightest. Over the past half a month, the news of Mu Yang being brutally abused by Lu Ming had already spread throughout Aeon City and the entire Divine Fate Land at the speed of a hurricane. Mu Yang was known as a seed expert, but he was beaten so miserably by a son of primal chaos who was only at the peak of the absolute Saint Realm. It was hard for him not to be noticed. Now, countless people were secretly discussing how Lu Ming had trampled on Mu Yang's face in public and even used him as a hostage. He had become a laughingstock. Damn it, damn it. Mu Yang's face was twisted with murderous intent. Have you found out where that bastard is? Mu Yang coldly asked the person who had come to report to him. Young noble, we found out. Lu Ming's group has already entered Destiny City. A burly man reported. Humph, want to hide in Destiny City? Don't even think about it. Kill. Send people into Destiny City and kill that bastard. Mu Yang roared. Young noble, this isn't appropriate. A white-haired old man spoke. He was a powerful, true emperor from the Mu clan. Why is it inappropriate? Mu Yang coldly asked. Right now, several powerful forces in Destiny City have given the order that no one is allowed to fight in Destiny City. Otherwise, we'll be making an enemy out of them. If we send people to fight in Destiny City, I'm afraid we'll offend them. The old man said. Although the Mu clan was a powerful overlord in Aeon City, there was still a gap between them and the other forces in Destiny City. The Mu clan didn't dare to offend the overlords of Destiny City either. Mu Yang's expression darkened. After a while, he coldly said, We don't have to do it ourselves. Go find the people from the Nation of Death. Those lunatics will do anything as long as they're paid. Everyone's expression changed as a trace of fear flashed through their eyes. It was as if they were very afraid of the nation of death. The kingdom of the god of death in the divine fate land was indeed terrifying. That was because this was a terrifying assassin organization. There were all kinds of terrifying assassins. As long as you paid, you could kill any expert. Moreover, the Death God Nation loved to hunt down geniuses and experts. Their most glorious battle record was when they killed a great emperor, shocking the entire divine fate land. Some people even suspected that this Death God Nation was created by a foreign race. There were also powerful forces that wanted to eliminate this assassin organization, but this organization was too mysterious. No one knew where their headquarters were. At most, they could only eliminate some of their branches. They would always be able to rise from the ashes. Now, Mu Yang wanted to ask the assassins of the Nation of Death to kill Lu Ming. Others might not dare to make a move in Destiny City, but the Nation of Death did. Lu Ming, if you offend me, only death awaits you, Mu Yang said coldly. Lu Ming had been in Destiny City for a month. Cultivating like this is still too slow. On this day, Lu Ming ended his cultivation and sighed. Now, his law of primal chaos had reached a bottleneck. It was only a step away from perfection, and it seemed like it could be crossed at any time. However, this any time could be a few months, or it could be a year or two. It was hard to say. Some people were stuck for thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. Therefore, Lu Ming's main focus was now on the law of death and the law of devour. Following the improvement of these two laws, his battle prowess would also become stronger and stronger. However, even with the Azura's eye, the improvement of the law of death was still too slow. Lu Ming wasn't satisfied. I heard that there's an ancient battlefield in Destiny City that contains powerful death chi and evil chi. Many people who cultivate evil chi will cultivate there. It's the most suitable place for the law of death to cultivate. Lu Ming pondered. He planned to go to that ancient battlefield to cultivate. There were still about 2 months before the Battle of the 10 Earths. Everyone was thinking of ways to improve their cultivation, because it was said that there would be great opportunities in the Battle of the 10 Earths. Only the strong could obtain them. Although Lu Ming was very strong now, there was always someone stronger. Who knew what other terrifying geniuses there were? Now, was there anyone who had broken through to the Martial Emperor realm? If there were powerful geniuses who had already entered the Martial Emperor realm, their strength would definitely be terrifying. Lu Ming felt a sense of urgency. He wanted to improve his strength as soon as possible. He said goodbye to Qiuyu Longchen and Huang Li, then left the inn and went to the ancient battlefield. The ancient battlefield was in the northern region of Destiny City. It was a battlefield left behind from ancient times. It was deathly silent and filled with death chi and evil chi. Lu Ming was as fast as lightning, but it still took him half a day to reach the ancient battlefield. This was a boundless great mountain, deathly still. As far as the eye could see, it was completely barren, without a single living creature. Lu Ming stepped in. The death chi is indeed dense. As soon as he entered the mountain, Lu Ming felt that the death chi here was very dense. It was very suitable for cultivating the law of death. Moreover, the deeper he went, the denser the death chi was. Lu Ming did not stop and went deeper. He also found other people in this battlefield. They were all people who cultivated evil cultivation methods or evil laws. Lu Ming went deeper and finally came to a short peak. He then sat down cross-legged and quietly comprehended the law of death. As expected, the speed of comprehending the law of death here was several times faster than outside. Every day, Lu Ming had great gains. 3 days later, Lu Ming's law of death reached about 88%. What Lu Ming did not know was that there was a group of people on a towering mountain outside the ancient battlefield. This group of people were all shrouded in black robes, and their faces could not be seen clearly. That kid is cultivating in that ancient battlefield. One of them reported to a person wearing a death god mask. Good. I heard that the kid is the son of chaos. If we kill him this time, it will definitely shake the divine fate land. He he he. The expert wearing the death god mask sneered and then ordered, "Wait a moment. Quickly kill that kid and leave this place. If we wait too long, I'm afraid that the experts of those forces will come here." Yes, some of the black-robed people bowed and accepted the order. "Go, I will stand guard here. If the people of those forces come, I will inform you to evacuate immediately," the person wearing the death god mask said. Then the black-robed people flashed and left one after another. Lu Ming was cultivating when he suddenly felt his hair stand on end. A great fear was approaching. Not good. Chapter 2094. The moment Lu Ming's body shot out, a terrifying sword light slashed down from the sky towards the place where Lu Ming had been sitting, leaving a deep sword mark on the ground. The short mountain was also split in half. Martial Emperor. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. The person who had attacked was definitely a martial emperor. However, he should only be a one-star martial emperor. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, 2 sword lights flashed above and below Lu Ming. 2 sword lights, one above and one below, shot towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Boom! Lu Ming's sacred force circulated crazily as he quickly retreated, avoiding the 2 sword lights. Martial emperors. Both of them are martial emperors. A few people appeared behind him. All of them were martial emperors. Your reaction is quite fast. A cold voice rang out. A few black-robed men appeared in the sky and surrounded Lu Ming. Who are you people? Lu Ming asked coldly. If the Grim Reaper wants you to die today, he won't let you live until tomorrow. One of the black-robed men said coldly, It's the Grim Reaper Nation. Run. There were also people cultivating in the area. When they heard those words, they were so frightened that they screamed and ran for their lives. Grim Reaper Nation. Lu Ming frowned. He had just arrived at the divine fate land and had never heard of it. Don't talk nonsense. Let's end this quickly. One of the black-robed men said coldly. Swoosh! The black-robed men moved at an astonishing speed. A few beams of sword gleams charged toward Lu Ming at a terrifying speed. You are the ones who will die. Lu Ming no longer hid his strength. He unleashed his full strength and charged towards one of the black-robed men. Boom! He threw out a palm. His palm was gray, and it was like an ancient divine mountain pressing down. It directly shattered the sword light of the black-robed man. The terrifying palm force bombarded the black-robed man's body, directly tearing him apart. A one-star martial emperor had been killed by Lu Ming in seconds. The other black-robed men were extremely shocked at this scene. No, his battle prowess doesn't match the information we received. A black-robed man roared. According to the information they received, Lu Ming's battle prowess was only slightly stronger than Muyang's. As a son of the void, Muyang had already begun to create a world. His battle prowess was sufficient to contend against a one-star martial emperor, and he could even suppress a one-star martial emperor. Although he was slightly stronger than Muyang, his battle prowess should not be much stronger. It was absolutely impossible for him to kill a one-star martial emperor in one move. Attack, attack together! One of the gang members roared. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, figures flickered in the sky. There were a total of 7 or 8 figures. In addition to the previous view, there were more than a dozen of them. Terrifying auras filled the air. They were all martial emperors and above. No matter how strong he is, he must die today. Kill! A black-robed man roared and slammed his palm down. A pitch-black palm print blasted towards Lu Ming. Its power was extremely terrifying. 3-star martial emperor. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. A 3-star martial emperor was simply too strong. Lu Ming did not dare to receive the attack head-on. Instead, he directly charged out. "You want to leave? Get back!" A black-robed man appeared in front. He held a pitch-black saber and slashed out. A vast saber light slashed at Lu Ming. This was also a 3-star martial emperor. At such a close distance, dodging was already impossible. Shao Qin could only receive the attack head-on. Lu Ming circulated his full power, and 4 laws erupted at the same time. Boom! Lu Ming blasted his palm on the saber gleam, emitting an earth-shattering boom. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he was sent flying. The terrifying power caused Lu Ming to vomit a mouthful of blood. A 3-star martial emperor was too strong. Lu Ming was still not a match for him. Whoosh! Whoosh! After Lu Ming was sent flying, the other black-robed men charged at Lu Ming. "Kill!" Lu Ming roared, and death chi burst out of his eyes. One of the black-robed men was startled when the death chi enveloped him. Bang! Lu Ming rushed over and sent the person flying. In the process of retreating, the person's body cracked and broke into pieces. Lu Ming went all out. A 1-star faux emperor found it hard to block a single move from Lu Ming. The Death Law and the Primal Chaos Law. Heavens! How is this possible? 2 supreme laws. A monster. A demonic genius. Kill him. We must kill him. Lu Ming erupted with his full power. With 2 supreme laws circulating at the same time, he could not hide them and would reveal them. When those black-robed men saw that Lu Ming actually grasped 2 supreme laws, they were incomparably shocked. Some of them even roared in shock. A person, furthermore, one below martial emperor, actually grasped 2 supreme laws. This was simply unheard of and inconceivable. Kill! Lu Ming attacked continuously, targeting a 1-star martial emperor. He threw a palm strike, and that person exploded in the air. Boom! The other black-robed men also attacked together. There were a total of 2 3-star martial emperors, 4 2-star martial emperors, and 3 1-star martial emperors. Only 9 people remained. When 9 people attacked together, their combat prowess was too horrifying. Lu Ming's acupoints lit up. Several tens of holy armaments and a few imperial armaments hovered around him, forming the first line of defense. At the same time, the light of laws covered his body. 4 kinds of laws circulated throughout his body, forming the second line of defense. Whoosh! Lu Ming changed directions and charged into the depths of the ancient battlefield. Lu Ming did his best to avoid the attacks of the 2 3-star martial emperors. As for the other martial emperors, he could not avoid that many and could only take them head-on. Boom! Boom! Instantly, at least 5 attacks struck Lu Ming. 3 2-star martial emperors and 2 1-star martial emperors. The battle weapons hovering around Lu Ming exploded like fireworks. Absolute holy armaments could not block the attacks of martial emperors. In the end, only a few imperial armaments remained intact. Pooh! Lu Ming coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. Although the attacks were blocked by the battle weapons, there were still powerful attacks that landed on his body. However, taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming arrived in front of a 1-star martial emperor. This 1-star martial emperor turned pale with fright. He wanted to flee, but was killed in the air by Lu Ming's palm strike. Following that, Lu Ming jabbed out with his finger. A huge primal chaos tribulation finger formed and shot toward a 2-star martial emperor. This finger contained 4 kinds of laws. Its might was astonishingly strong. That 2-star martial emperor blocked with all his strength. However, he was still sent flying and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The others were shocked and attacked even more frantically. A terrifying palm imprint and a saber light shot toward Lu Ming. The 2 3-star martial emperors attacked again. Lu Ming did his best to dodge. However, in the end, he did not manage to dodge completely. He was struck by that palm imprint. The terrifying power nearly caused Lu Ming's body to crack. Lu Ming felt intense pain all over his body. He felt like his bones were about to break. He coughed up blood nonstop. However, he borrowed the power of that palm imprint to instantly arrive in front of that injured 2-star martial emperor. Chapter 2095. Boom! Lu Ming's palm trembled as he sent out several palm strikes. The terrifying palm energy directly tore apart his opponent's defense. With a miserable shriek, this 2-star martial emperor was torn apart by Lu Ming, dying miserably on the spot. The others sucked in a breath of cold air. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too terrifying, far surpassing the information they received. He could even kill a 2-star martial emperor. This was truly frightening. Kill. We must kill such a person even more. The Death God Nation's assassins revealed frenzied expressions. Now, they no longer cared about how many origin stones Muyang gave them. They wanted to kill Lu Ming even more. The remaining assassins attacked with all their might, surrounding and attacking Lu Ming. Lu Ming roared as he circulated his death laws with all his might. The surrounding death chi continuously gathered, strengthening Lu Ming's offense and defense. In this ancient battlefield, the death laws could bring out their greatest might, far surpassing the usual. Hence, Lu Ming's battle prowess was stronger in this ancient battlefield than in other places. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming charged around, fighting the Death God Nation's experts. The ones that posed the greatest threat to him were the 2-3-star martial emperors. Although Lu Ming was strong now, able to kill 2-star martial emperors, he was still no match for 3-star martial emperors. After 10-odd moves, Lu Ming successfully killed another 1-star martial emperor. However, he was also struck by a 3-star martial emperor and 2-star illusionary emperors. Several horrifying wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body. Blood flowed out, and many of his bones were even broken. Fortunately, the death chi here was too dense, greatly increasing Lu Ming's defense. In the end, he managed to survive. Kill! Lu Ming went berserk. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his entire body was bathed in blood. He looked like a demonic god. Bang! Lu Ming sent a 2-star illusionary emperor flying, causing him to vomit large mouthfuls of blood. Lu Ming took the opportunity to charge out of the encirclement and into the depths of the ancient battlefield. The death chi in the depths of the ancient battlefield was even denser, which was more advantageous for him. Send out the news. Get my lord to personally take action. A 3-star martial emperor roared as he chased Lu Ming relentlessly. This time, their losses were too heavy. Previously, they had thought that Lu Ming's combat power was only slightly stronger than an ordinary 1-star empty emperor, and not even stronger than a 2-star empty emperor. However, they had sent out 4 2-star empty emperors and 2 3-star empty emperors. It could be said that they were foolproof. However, Lu Ming's battle prowess was much stronger than he had imagined. Lu Ming had killed 4 or 5 people consecutively, but they had yet to kill Lu Ming. If this continued, Lu Ming might really be able to escape if he fled into the depths of the ancient battlefield. This was something they could not tolerate. Very few people that the Death God Kingdom wanted to kill were able to escape. As for the remaining people, they pursued Lu Ming with all their might. One of them had already spread the news. Bang! Lu Ming, who was running at top speed, was hit by a palm energy. This was the palm energy of a 3-star illusionary emperor, which was exceptionally powerful. Lu Ming was sent flying, his body in intense pain. However, Lu Ming's eyes were resolute as he moved forward at top speed. From the other party's roar just now, it was obvious that there were even stronger people nearby. Lu Ming could only escape into the depths of the ancient battlefield to have a chance to survive. Who wants to kill me? Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He did not know the people from the Death God Kingdom at all. Moreover, from the way these people attacked, it was obvious that they were assassins. Who was it that hired assassins to kill him? Mu Yang. Lu Ming thought of Mu Yang. It was most likely Mu Yang. Mu Yang, I will definitely kill you. Lu Ming's heart was filled with killing intent as he ran forward with all his might. During this process, Lu Ming's body squirmed and his injuries were rapidly recovering. Now his spirit body was too strong and his vitality was incomparably vigorous. Although he was severely injured, his recovery speed was also very shocking. The remaining assassins continued to chase and attack Lu Ming with all kinds of attacks. Lu Ming tried his best to dodge, but occasionally he would be hit by all kinds of attacks. Luckily, the death chi here was getting denser and denser. To Lu Ming, there were many benefits. His entire body was filled with death chi, forming an armor that covered his entire body. He controlled the death laws. The death chi was beneficial to him, but to others it was like a poison. When ordinary people faced the death chi would constantly corrode them. Chi. The remaining assassins had to use a portion of their strength to resist the invasion of the death chi. If you want to kill me, I will make you pay a price. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes were flickering with a crazed look. His body that was running suddenly stopped. Then with extreme speed he pounced towards the back. Those assassins thought that Lu Ming was running for his life. Who would have thought that Lu Ming would suddenly turn around and attack? For a moment they were stunned. Although it was only for a moment, but to experts like them, a moment was enough to determine life and death. Bam! Lu Ming struck out with his palm, killing the last 1-star empty emperor. Then his body moved and attacked another 2-star empty emperor. At this moment, the 2-star empty emperor finally reacted. He activated the power of the realm and slashed out a terrifying sword light. Boom! Lu Ming struck out with his palm and directly dispersed the sword light. The terrifying palm force hit the 2-star empty emperor's body. The man screamed as his chest was penetrated. A big hole appeared and he was forced to retreat. How could Lu Ming let him escape? His body moved and he chased after him. You are courting death. Kill. The other assassins roared and attacked Lu Ming. Block. Lu Ming roared and controlled the remaining emperor weapons to block behind him. At the same time, endless death chi gathered and formed a thick wall of death behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming ignored the attacks behind him and attacked the 2-star empty emperor with all his might. Bam! Bam! The 2-star empty emperor was already severely injured. Although he tried his best to block, he still could not block it. After a few moves, Lu Ming's palm struck his head. His head exploded like a watermelon, and his body and soul were destroyed. The other assassins' attacks fell behind Lu Ming. A few emperor weapons vibrated and almost exploded. Cracks appeared on them, and the thick wall of death was also destroyed. All kinds of attacks landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body flew out like a cannonball and crashed into a mountain. However, in the next moment, the mountain rumbled and Lu Ming rushed out from the mountain and continued to rush into the depths of the ancient battlefield. Lu Ming coughed out blood. Fortunately, the emperor weapons and the wall of death had blocked most of the power. Otherwise, he would be in danger after being hit by so many attacks. Even so, he was still severely injured. Damn it! The remaining assassins were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. Lu Ming had killed another 2 of them. The loss was too great. They had suffered a great loss in this deal. However, as long as they could kill Lu Ming, it was worth it. They chased after Lu Ming and did not let him go. Suddenly, a terrifying sword light burst out from the sky and slashed towards Lu Ming. It was extremely terrifying, as if it was going to split the heavens and earth. It's coming. Chapter 2096. That sword light made Lu Ming's hair stand on end. That was definitely a terrifying expert. Definitely not an ordinary empty emperor. Peak empty emperor. Swoosh! Lu Ming displayed his extreme speed, his body constantly changing, like a bolt of lightning, extremely fast, trying his best to avoid the sword light. In the end, the sword light slashed down and Lu Ming dodged it. However, there were still aftershocks that swept Lu Ming. Lu Ming groaned, and his body flew far away. In the air, Lu Ming coughed up blood. When he was about to land, Lu Ming struck out a palm, and a palm force bombarded the ground. Lu Ming borrowed the force, and his body drifted forward faster. A peak Void Emperor was invincible. He was too powerful. He could kill Lu Ming in one move. Lu Ming could only escape, but it was a terrible crisis. Now no one could help him, and he could only rely on himself. In the sky, a black-robed man wearing a death mask appeared, and his body was filled with incomparable cold, killing intent. If one could see through the mask, they would definitely see that this person's face was cold and gloomy. He glanced around and saw the remaining assassins, and his eyes were about to spit fire. He had sent so many experts, all of whom were in the martial emperor realm, to assassinate a junior, who was still in the saint realm, but they could not kill him, and so many of his own people had died. If this spread out, it would be a great blow to the reputation of the Death Nation. Therefore, Lu Ming must die. Swoosh! He slashed with his sword again, and a ray of sword gleam charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming tried his best to dodge, but this time was even worse. The sword edge brushed past him, and his body was almost split in half. There was a 1-meter-long sword wound on his body, and it was so deep that his bones could be seen, and even his internal organs could be seen wriggling. However, Lu Ming did not stop, and he continued to rush forward. In front, there was a large pit, and it was covered with bones. It's here. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Kill! High up in the air, the expert wearing the death god mask saw that his 2 moves had failed to kill Lu Ming, and his killing intent became even colder. Endless sword light bloomed in his hand, and hundreds of sword lights appeared in the sky. Whoosh! Whoosh! Hundreds of sword lights, densely packed from all directions, pierced towards Lu Ming. Hundreds of sword lights had completely sealed off Lu Ming's escape route. This was a sure kill move, executed by a peak illusionary emperor. Lu Ming had nowhere to run. In an instant, hundreds of sword lights all struck Lu Ming, drowning him. There was a violent rumble, bones flew everywhere, dust flew, and Lu Ming let out an unwilling roar. After that, there was no more movement. When the dust settled, there was nothing left. With a flash, a few black-robed figures flew over and landed on the ground. Above them, the expert wearing the Grim Reaper mask also descended from the air. Is Lu Ming dead? He must be dead. Under Lord's attack, not even his bones are left. The black-robed figures spoke one after another. The expert wearing the Grim Reaper mask scanned the surroundings with his spiritual consciousness and even penetrated deep into the ground, but he did not find anything unusual. Then he stretched out his hand, and a storage ring flew out from among the bones and landed in his hand. There were bloodstains on the storage ring. He sensed it and knew that it was Lu Ming's aura. Lu Ming should be dead. His bones have merged with the bones here, leaving only a storage ring. The expert wearing the Grim Reaper mask said. He was very confident that under that move, Lu Ming would have died without a doubt. In that instant, Lu Ming could not have escaped. There was only one explanation. Lu Ming was dead, and not even his bones were left. The storage ring was the best explanation. This kid is really a freak. He's too terrifying. He can control 2 supreme laws. Fortunately, Lord came. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the kid escaped. The other, black-robed, figures flattered. He is indeed a freak. All right, let's hurry and leave. The news will spread soon. I'm afraid the experts of Destiny City will be here soon. Also, in 2 days, spread the news that the Son of Chaos was killed by us. It will definitely shock the world. The masked expert said coldly. Then his figure flashed, and the figures of the assassins disappeared. 10 miles away, in a hidden mountain valley, Lu Ming coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, his face pale. Naturally, he was not dead. This time, it's all thanks to Xiaoqing's scapegoat puppet. Lu Ming sighed. Just now, when he was about to be drowned by the sword light, he decisively used the scapegoat puppet that Xian Yinqing had given him. The scapegoat puppet was incomparably mysterious. In an instant, his body was moved 10 miles away, and the enemy's attack was all absorbed by the puppet. Therefore, Lu Ming was not dead. The one who died was the scapegoat puppet. The scapegoat puppet had died for him once. At the critical moment, Lu Ming had left behind an interspatial ring. Even so, Lu Ming was swept by the aftershocks, and several more sword wounds appeared on his body. Waves of destructive power constantly drilled into the depths of his body. These people think I'm dead. It's not good for me to show myself now. I'll change my identity and heal here. I'll appear again when the Battle of 10 Earths begins. Lu Ming thought to himself, if he showed himself now, who knew if the enemy would send another assassination attempt? He didn't have a scapegoat puppet now. Lu Ming used the divine breath art to conceal his aura, then headed deeper into the ancient battlefield. He found a hidden place and entered the mountain river diagram to heal his injuries. His injuries were very serious. There were streaks of destructive sword light in his body that wanted to destroy his body. If he wanted to heal his injuries, he first had to dispel the sword light. Lu Ming controlled the 4 laws and began to dispel the sword light. In the blink of an eye, a few days passed. Lu Ming finally dispelled the sword light. As soon as the sword light was dispelled, Lu Ming's body began to rapidly recover. His bones and muscles were regenerating and healing rapidly. At this moment, a piece of news spread that shook the entire divine fate land. Lu Ming, the son of primal chaos who came from Primal Mountain, had been killed by the Nation of Death in Destiny City. When this news came out, the world was in an uproar. Countless people were shocked. Lu Ming had displayed terrifying talent and battle strength as soon as he came to the divine fate land. With his cultivation at the great circle of the absolute saint realm, he had defeated several sons of primal chaos consecutively. Even Mu Yang, who was known as a seed expert, was defeated by Lu Ming and trampled under Lu Ming's feet. Originally, countless people thought highly of Lu Ming. They thought that Lu Ming would be a peak expert in the Battle of 10 Earths, a seed expert. Countless people looked forward to the battle between Lu Ming and the son of primal chaos, Yuan Xan. But now, Lu Ming had been killed by the Nation of Death. This was because the news was released by the Nation of Death. The Nation of Death was very arrogant. They claimed to the outside world that, so what if he was a peerless genius? So what if he hid in Destiny City? If the Nation of Death wanted to kill someone, it was useless no matter where he hid. Chapter 2097. The overlords of Destiny City had previously announced to the public that killing was prohibited in the city for the safety of the geniuses. But now, the Nation of Death had assassinated the Son of Chaos in Destiny City. This was a slap in the face to the overlords of Destiny City. The world was in an uproar. A powerful Son of Chaos had actually been assassinated by the Nation of Death in Destiny City. This was a major event that shocked countless people. Many people even suspected that this was true. But later on, someone stood out and said that it was true because they were at the ancient battlefield and saw with their own eyes that the Nation of Death had sent out a large number of experts to assassinate the Son of Chaos, Lu Ming. When the news was confirmed, many people found it difficult to calm down, especially some powerful geniuses. The Nation of Death was too terrifying. Since they could assassinate the Son of Chaos, they could also assassinate them. Many geniuses' activities became low-key. The overlords of Destiny City were furious and sent out a large number of experts to encircle and annihilate the Nation of Death. Unfortunately, they only managed to destroy a few insignificant branches and couldn't find the headquarters. The Nation of Death's people jumped out and clamored again. It didn't matter where the Nation of Death wanted to kill someone. Their words were extremely arrogant. Left with no choice, the overlords of Destiny City could only strengthen the city's defenses. There were powerful existences guarding every corner of the city. The moment something went wrong, they would send out experts to prevent another assassination attempt from happening. But this matter had a huge impact and affected the hearts of countless people. In the Inn of Destiny City, Autumn Moon, Long Chen, and Huang Li were in disbelief when they heard the news. Impossible, the young master won't die. Autumn Moon's face was pale as tears welled up in her eyes. Don't worry, Lu Ming definitely won't die. Long Chen and Huang Li spoke one after another. They clenched their fists tightly and emitted cold, killing intent. In another ancient city to the south of Celestial City, Huang Ling, Luo Tianyi, and a few others were traveling. When they heard the news, their faces were also pale. No, no one can kill him. Several people whispered. Translator, Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios the moment Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Emily stepped into the Divine Fate land. They were shocked by the news. My master won't die. Both of them found it hard to believe that Lu Ming would be killed. In their eyes, Lu Ming was irreplaceable. One day he would be invincible. On a mountain peak, Death Blade stood against the wind, his aura wild. Lu Ming, you can't die yet. I still have to defeat you and replace you as the gold inheritor. A deep voice came from the Death Blade's mouth. Within an elegant courtyard in Destiny City, Xinghe stood tall with his hands behind his back. After a few years, the Eternal Star River had become even more terrifying. Its aura was unfathomable. Lu Ming, I wanted to kill you with my own hands. What a pity. Xinghe smiled faintly. On Yuan Mountain, the Hung Clan, He Clan, Daluo Heaven Sect, Ancient Moon Holy Land, Golden Crow Clan, One Clan, and other forces were overjoyed when they heard the news. Lu Ming's death was great news for them, especially for the Ancient Moon Holy Land, One Clan, Golden Crow Clan, and other forces. This was because in the Celestial Emperor City, Lu Ming had used the Celestial Emperor's body to kill a few experts. He had even beaten the great emperor of the He family until he fled. This made some forces in the Ancient Moon Holy Land who had a grudge against Lu Ming turn cold. They had been on tenterhooks, afraid that Lu Ming would use the Celestial Emperor's body to kill their sects and annihilate them. Now that Lu Ming was killed, they heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they guessed that Lu Ming's Heavenly Emperor's body was severely restricted. Otherwise, how could he be assassinated by the Death God Nation? If he could control the Heavenly Emperor's body, the people from the Death God Nation would only be courting death. Ha ha ha! Boy, you dare to go against me. Only death awaits you. In Aeon City, Mu Clan Mu Yang laughed heartily. His only regret was that he did not kill Lu Ming with his own hands. The Divine Fate Land was in an uproar. Lu Ming had been in the depths of the ancient battlefield. After a few days, Lu Ming's injuries had healed. However, he did not go out and continued to cultivate in the ancient battlefield. He speculated that the assassins from the Death God Nation were probably hired by Mu Yang. As long as Mu Yang knew that he was dead, Mu Yang would not make any moves. Only then would Long Chen, Chiu Yu, and the others be safe. The depths of the ancient battlefield were very beneficial for cultivating the law of death. In the following days, Lu Ming focused on cultivating in seclusion to comprehend the law of death. Every day there would be great gains. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Lu Ming had made great progress in the law of death. His law of death had already reached 95% and was on par with the law of devour. Now, Lu Ming's 4 types of law fused together and erupted. The power was even more shocking. Lu Ming's strength had increased again. At this time, Lu Ming walked out of the ancient battlefield. Because the time for the Battle of 10 Earths had arrived, Lu Ming disguised himself as a dark-skinned youth. Walking on the streets, no one could recognize him. Lu Ming inquired about the news of the Battle of 10 Earths. As there were too many people participating in the Battle of 10 Earths, the Battle of 10 Earths had to be screened. Countless geniuses from all over the Yuan continent had come. The number was shocking. If they were to compete one by one, it would be unrealistic and too slow. Therefore, the Battle of 10 Earths was divided into 4 battle zones. East, South, West, and North, the 4 battle zones. Everyone could choose any battle zone to register. Then, they would be screened before they could participate in the final battle. The time would begin tomorrow. Lu Ming found a place to stay. A day passed in the blink of an eye. On the second day, Lu Ming headed towards the southern battle zone. It was an extremely spacious place, but when Lu Ming arrived, he found that the empty space was almost filled with people. Of course, many people were over the age limit and were here to watch the fun. There were naturally not that many young geniuses. In the center of the empty space, there was a huge platform. At this moment, there were a few figures floating above the platform, emitting shocking auras. Great Emperor! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He discovered that one of the people's aura was extremely deep and terrifying. Lu Ming had come into contact with great emperors more than once. Naturally, he could easily determine that this person was a great emperor. The 4 battle zones were controlled by the 4 overlord forces of Destiny City. This should be an expert from one of the overlord forces. The screening is divided into several rounds. The first round is very simple. You can register first and then step onto this platform. We will test you together. The Emperor Realm expert spoke. His voice wasn't loud, but it rang in everyone's ears. Below the platform, there were a few registration places. Some youths went forward one after another and began to register. After registering, they stepped onto the platform. Chapter 2098. All right, let's begin the test for this batch. The Great Emperor ordered. This Great Emperor looked to be in his 50s and had a majestic aura. Immediately, an old man stepped forward. In a moment, I'll unleash my pressure on you. Resist it with all your might, as long as you can withstand it for 30 breaths. Those who can't withstand it will be eliminated. The old man said. Many people's hearts moved. This method was simple. A group of people would gather together and use their auras to suppress those who could withstand it. This way, the efficiency would be high. Those who weren't strong could be eliminated quickly. Begin. As the old man's voice sounded, a terrifying aura erupted from his body and enveloped the entire platform. True Emperor. Lu Ming could tell that this elder was a true emperor-level expert. As soon as the old man's aura was released, some people's expressions changed. Their bodies trembled, and then they coughed out large mouthfuls of blood and knelt on the ground. Senior, please have mercy. I can't withstand it anymore. The youth roared, feeling as if his body was about to be crushed into meat paste. Get down! The old man said indifferently as he controlled his aura. The pressure on the youth instantly lightened, and he hurriedly rushed down the platform, gasping for breath. A mere bright saint dares to go up on the platform? He's overestimating himself. This is the Battle of 10 Earths, not some small place. A bright saint dares to go up? What a joke! Many people shook their heads and laughed. The Battle of 10 Earths gathered the strongest prodigies in the 10 Earths. A mere bright saint was not enough. The youth's face flushed red. In fact, there were many people like that young man. Plop, plop, on the platform. Many youths knelt down and coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. These youths' cultivation was around the bright saint realm. The Battle of 10 Earths was really affecting. It was the first time in history, and countless people paid attention to it. Many youths wanted to perform on such a stage, hoping to be noticed. Therefore, many of those who didn't have high cultivation wanted to participate. Many people coughed out blood and rushed down the platform, eliminated. As time passed, the old man's aura became stronger and stronger. Later on, even the great saints couldn't withstand it and were eliminated. In the end, only about 100 people out of the 1,000 managed to resist for 30 breaths of time. Of course, everyone's condition was different. Some people were trembling all over, cold sweat flowing down their backs, and they were gasping for breath. It was obvious that they had exhausted all their strength. Some people, on the other hand, were calm and collected. Their expressions were normal and relaxed. The names of those who had advanced to the next round were kept, and they could enter the next round. You've all seen it for yourself. If you're not strong enough, then don't sign up. You'll only embarrass yourself and get injured. The middle-aged great emperor said. Many youths had ugly expressions on their faces. In the end, they sighed helplessly. They originally wanted to show off, but in reality, they didn't even have the qualifications to participate. They didn't even have the qualifications to serve as a foil. The Battle of the 10 Lands was the stage for true geniuses. As long as one could get a spot in the 10 Lands battle, it would be a huge honor. However, most people could only watch. Following that, more and more people came forward to register. When there were about 1,000 people, the old man once again unleashed his aura and pressured the young man on the platform. This time, the situation was much better. Out of the 1,000 participants, about 500 of them made it to the next round. Because those who didn't have enough cultivation knew that they wouldn't be able to pass and would only get injured if they went up, they didn't sign up. Then the selection continued. Xiang Xiang, Mo Li Automoon, Huang Ling, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw Xiang Xiang, Automoon, and the others in the crowd. They were all here, and they were all in the southern war zone. With their cultivation bases, they naturally passed the selection easily. I'll go up too. Lu Ming smiled and began to sign up. He wasn't in a hurry to meet Xiang Xiang and the others. What's your name? On the registration platform, someone looked at Lu Ming. Tianyin. Lu Ming said, Leave your aura. The other party said. Lu Ming nodded and left a wisp of aura. This was to identify his identity. Then, Lu Ming stepped onto the platform. I have hair, I'm heartless. Lu Ming had just stepped onto the platform when he heard a Buddhist chant behind him. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched. Lu Ming was too familiar with this voice. Although he hadn't heard it for more than 10 years, he definitely wouldn't forget it. Lu Ming turned around and saw a slightly plump young monk stepping onto the platform. Heartless monk. Lu Ming was a little dazed. He didn't expect to meet Heartless Monk here. Back then, when he was in the divine wilderness continent, Heartless and Moonless left before him and came to Yuan continent. It had been more than 10 years since they last met. Heartless Monk was still the same as more than 10 years ago. He hadn't changed at all. When he walked up and saw Lu Ming looking at him, he couldn't help but chant a Buddhist chant. I have hair. Benefactor, you're looking at me with such affection. Could it be that you've taken a fancy to me? Unfortunately, you're a man. If you were a beautiful woman, I would consider it. Heartless Monk said with a smile, Go to hell. Lu Ming curled his lips. This guy hadn't changed at all. Benefactor, why do I feel like we've met before? It's a familiar feeling. Oh no, no. Why would I have such feelings for a man? Heartless Monk started to stare at Lu Ming. Then his face turned bitter and he sighed. Get lost. Lu Ming scolded. At the same time, he was shocked. This unreliable monk's spiritual sense was really sharp. He had used his divine breath technique, but Heartless Monk still felt it. Amit Ba. Then another chant was heard and a few young monks stepped onto the platform. Moonless, dustless. Lu Ming recognized a few of them. Moonless Bodhisattva was also a familiar face in the divine wilderness continent. The other one was Dustless of Boundless Temple. He controlled the law of karma and was one of the Elysian children. Soon, there were about 1,000 people on the platform. The true Emperor realm old man started to release his aura. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on everyone. However, this pressure was nothing to Lu Ming. He didn't feel anything. Lu Ming saw that Heartless, Moonless, and Dustless were the same. Their faces were calm, and they didn't react at all. It seems like Heartless and Moonless strength has increased tremendously after coming to the Yuan continent. Lu Ming thought to himself. To begin with, Lu Ming was unfamiliar with the cultivation of Buddhism. He discovered that he could not see through the cultivation level of the few young monks. It was as if there was a ball of dazzling golden light in their bodies that concealed their cultivation level. 30 breaths passed in the blink of an eye. They had passed the test easily. I have hair. Benefactor, have we met before? It seems like you have fate with Buddhism. Why don't you shave and join the Buddhist sect? Heartless came to Lu Ming and said with a smile, Go to hell. Chapter 2099. Next, the test continued. After a few more tests, no one signed up. In the end, about 3,000 people passed the first round. Come with me for the next round, the middle-aged great emperor said and stepped into the air. Those who passed the first round followed behind him. Those who were watching the show naturally followed as well. The crowd flew across the sky. Soon, the middle-aged martial monarch came to a stop in midair. There was a huge door of light in midair. This is the second round of the selection. Once you enter the door of light, you will enter a tunnel. There are various tests waiting for you in the tunnel. As long as you can pass through the tunnel within 30 minutes, you will pass the test. You may enter together. The middle-aged great emperor said, Whoosh! Whoosh! In a flash, more than 3,000 people flew into the door of light. The door of light was huge. It did not seem crowded at all when more than 3,000 people flew in. The moment the 3,000 people flew into the door of light, they disappeared. Lu Ming felt his body tremble. He had arrived in a tunnel. There was no one else around. He was the only one. He knew that there must be a formation here. Great emperors had powerful means. It was not surprising that they had set up some mysterious formations. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. Although the tunnel was a little difficult, it was not a problem for Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not go all out, but he passed through the entire passageway very quickly. Looking at the passageway that appeared in front of him, Lu Ming smiled faintly. About 5 minutes. He only used 5 minutes to pass through the tunnel. The test of this tunnel was very complicated. It not only tested one's combat strength, but also courage, decisiveness, wisdom, willpower, etc. It was very comprehensive. If one was outstanding in all these aspects, their talent would definitely not be bad. However, Lu Ming had experienced many similar trials and tribulations along the way. To him, these trials were not difficult at all. Lu Ming stepped out of the tunnel. As soon as Lu Ming stepped out of the tunnel, he saw many people looking at him. Lu Ming was stunned. He realized that there were many people standing in the air. Most of them were of the older generation. Some of them had terrifying auras. It can't be. There are so many great emperors. Lu Ming was shocked. He discovered that there were no less than 10 old men emitting the aura of great emperors. This made Lu Ming's heart tremble. I have hair. Benefactor, your speed is not fast. Ha ha ha. With a Buddhist chant, an scrupulous monk appeared. His speed was even faster than Lu Ming's, which surprised Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had not used his full strength just now. Lu Ming glanced around and saw that a few young men had already passed through the passage. It's him. Lu Ming saw a young man with a tall and straight figure. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, exuding a domineering aura. The son of chaos, Yuan Xian. Lu Ming had seen it during the Hunyuan sect assessment, so how could he forget it? Yuan Xian cast a nonchalant glance at Lu Ming before shifting her gaze away. Little fellow, what law are you cultivating? At this time, an old man looked at Lu Ming with sparkling eyes. The law of death. Lu Ming nodded, and the aura of the law of death emanated from his body. You are indeed the son of chaos? Little fellow, are you willing to be my disciple? The old man asked. I feel that we are fated to be his disciple. He should be my disciple. Another old man spoke. These people were all great emperors. Lu Ming was a little stunned. Could it be that these great emperors were waiting here to recruit disciples? Benefactor, these are all great emperors from God's destined land. Their purpose is to find talented young men to accept as disciples and pass on their mantle. Unscrupulous monk transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and understood. In Yuan continent, changing one's master was not a big deal under certain circumstances. For example, some peerless geniuses might have a master with a low cultivation when their cultivation was still weak. However, these geniuses would quickly rise and surpass their masters in a short period of time. For example, Lu Ming's current cultivation was much stronger than Cloud Dragon Valley masters. Therefore, those masters who had started their apprenticeship could no longer help those geniuses. Those geniuses could naturally find other stronger masters. Therefore, these great emperors were waiting here to try their luck. If they met a peerless genius who did not have a strong background and was willing to be their master, they would have profited. Senior, thank you for your kindness. I already have a master and will not be taking you as my disciple for the time being. Lu Ming cupped his fists and expressed his gratitude. What a pity! The few great emperors shook their heads and felt that it was a pity. He was the son of death and could pass through the passage in 5 minutes. It could be said that he was top-notch in all aspects. These great emperors were very tempted. However, it was obvious that only a few of these geniuses would be willing to take a master. Normally, they would have a strong background or an expert. The crowd continued to wait. Later on, a few more people appeared. Lu Ming saw a familiar face, the ancient devil, the land of infinite demons, the genius who cultivated the primordial demon Tao. This person was undoubtedly a terrifying opponent. A few years had passed. He did not know what level his cultivation had reached. Xiang Moli. At the 8th minute, Lu Ming saw Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli walking out at almost the same time. So young. Many people's eyes moved. As for those old men, their eyes lit up. Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli looked too young. Ouyang Moli was slightly older, but he looked to be around 20 years old. As for Lu Xiang, she looked to be less than 20 years old. It was extremely rare to be able to walk out of the passage in 8 minutes at such a young age. Those old men's hearts moved again. Haha, these two brats are not bad. Passing through the passage in 8 minutes. Excellent talent. An old man stepped forward and said with a smile, Greetings, senior. Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli bowed politely. What law did the two of you comprehend? Another old man stepped forward and asked with a smile. Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli did not hide and release their auras. The children of last time. The children of last time. The old men's eyes lit up even more. Little girl, are you willing to acknowledge me as your master? Little brat, are you willing to acknowledge me as your master? The old men spoke one after another, staring at Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli. Their eyes were burning with passion. Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli looked at each other and shook their heads. Senior, I already have a master. I won't acknowledge anyone else as my master. Lu Xiang shook her head and said, You already have a master? Who is your master? What's his cultivation level? I'm a great emperor. An old man was anxious and quickly spoke, revealing his cultivation level. My master's cultivation level is not as high as seniors, but in the future, he will definitely become a top expert. Lu Xiangxiang said with a determined expression. Haha, little girl, how can it be so easy to become a top expert? Don't be fooled. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.